Hey, welcome. We're live. Hopefully, we're live. Hopefully, we don't have any internet issues like we had last night when we were streaming the Canton Select Board meeting, and some Twitter issues today, too. I missed a Boston Globe request for an interview today. I missed the deadline because of Twitter. God damn you. But hopefully, everything's working. Hopefully, everyone can. And the state police, too, not letting me cover the Karen Reed trial on the sidewalk, day 2 of that. But you guys are all here. I could see we got Attorney Bederow here, and we already have 1,800 on YouTube. So let's bring up Attorney Bederow. The big thing before I bring him up, I just want to say what Mazza was saying. I was just watching Mazza Media. Got to keep the faith right now. Keep. Don't get discouraged. Don't get upset. We can't worry. The biggest thing I've learned through this whole thing for Karen Reed is don't worry about what you can't control because it might not be what you think. So let's just stay the course. Keep your head up. The one who should be stressing right now the most, unfortunately, is Karen Reed. Unfortunately, she's in the spot, and if she can keep her head up, we know we all need to keep it up. And it was great to see today a lot of people out for Karen Reed. Another huge crowd. A lot of cameras, a lot of media, tons of media. The media spectacle, just unreal. And I love the bodyguards. Shout out to all the bodyguards who are making sure Karen Reed is safe on those walks to the court. And I'm not talking about the Mass State Police because I've had it up to here with the way that they're treating us. They even harassed the Boston Herald reporter yesterday. They want to see our paperwork on the sidewalk, doing our jobs. Goons. They're a bunch of goons. I'm so tired of Mass State Police. I really am. And I'm not the type that has problems with police. I heard they tried to investigate me this year from what I've seen, and they found out that I'm squeaky clean. They wanted to scare me. And this is an example of what I'm saying. Keep your head up. Keep going. They had nothing. Let's bring up Attorney Mark Bederow. What do you think today, after court today? I'm kind of fired up. I'm fired up about the court, the judge, the Mass State Police, but I love the media. And I love the people, and I love Karen Reed. What was your takeaway today about what happened in court today?
It was embarrassing, unjudicious. I thought the judge was kind of a joke today. It's a case that, as you said, is being followed by everyone. It's already been kind of a cartoon case, and I think she looked ridiculous today, both legally, although she ultimately was forced to do the right thing, and then I think she regrettably kind of lashed out at the person on trial in a way that could have been handled much better. So not a good look all around. The verdict sheet thing is, I've never seen anything like that. If you look at the verdict sheet, it does appear that your choices are not guilty or guilty of the other two. And that's what real lawyers do. They pay attention and they complain if it's appropriate. And it was a little disturbing that apparently the jury form just kind of made its way back there, and there was no understanding of how that was the form. And I think that's why he was upset with what the clerk was doing and all of that. But the judge's initial response was not good. Just the old joke that we talk about all the time about forget it, it's Chinatown. That's how it felt when she basically said, "This is how we do it. Too bad for you." And that can't be how they do it. I'm sorry, you can't possibly have a verdict sheet that looks like that, for a couple of reasons. One, the concern is it kind of steering them if they acquit on a top count to find someone guilty of a second count or a lesser included offense? And then it also creates a problem that what if it's kind of a split verdict on various counts? And there's hung on some, as other people were saying, how do you know what's what? So it was a mess. She went in the back, probably made a phone call, law clerk, which is normal. Doesn't offend me. We talked about that before. but somebody kind of explained to her that you really want to risk an appellate issue right now with all this. And so she corrected it. But I can tell you it's got to be unprecedented. I've never seen anything where a a verdict sheet is altered and changed after the jury has the case. I don't know what that means going forward. Probably nothing, but that is not good. And her attitude, I thought today was embarrassing. That, I told you I'm too tired to deal with this. And I guess she didn't get a good night's sleep because she came in cranky pants again. And I thought yelling at the defendant like that, knowing it's on a live stream, I mean, the jury didn't see it. So there's no risk of prejudice in front of the jury. But I don't think you needed to do that in front of the world and in front of the people in the audience. And in light of the fact that she likes to hang out at sidebar frequently, all she had to do was say, step up, and the attorneys and look at the lawyers and say, listen, I don't like what she's doing, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, if the judge says, I don't like it, whatever. And just, I want you to tell your client to just, stop the histrionics or whatever you want to call it. And then it's handled quietly. It's done. It didn't need to be a spectacle like it was. So I thought, I think it left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And it's another example of how embarrassing this trial has been for so many different reasons. Just not a good look.
Not a good look, and there's no explanation. Like
No.
this comment here, because it seemed like they didn't just make a mistake. They didn't just yell at the attorneys and Karen Reed, which she did do. It seems like the judge lied because this form is not how the form is usually. It's based on other trials that people looked at, the Chestnut trial in her court recently.
Or the clerk gave her slipped
Yeah.
in the wrong one. I mean, I'm not ready to say she literally lied. She could have been under the wrong impression that a different form was submitted. Now, on the other hand, if she looked at it after Jackson was raising a protest, you'd think that common sense would have said, oh, no, this is wrong. How did this happen? I think she was really humiliated when she tried to bully Yannetti as, again, the local guy. He knows, your partner knows. And when he said, actually, no, then she got even just, well, I disagree. And, what are you laughing at? And we're done. And that was, I mean, honestly, that sounded like insecurity and a lack of confidence in controlling the situation. And I mean, she's slowly been kind of losing control of this whole process. I mean, look, she ultimately did the right thing. So there's no harm or no foul. It's not going to impact the outcome, but all these people that have raised concerns about her, it's just giving them more ammunition to think that something
Exactly. That's why she needed to.
she is afoot.
Yeah, it's exactly why she needs to explain that to the public.
She's not going to.
I'm not. I know she's not, and that's the problem with this system. It's like
the problem.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
The problem with this court is she does nothing in public. Everything is at sidebar on a very high profile public case. The world is watching, and everything she does is, if it's even on the record, is done privately and nobody knows. And it's not a good look. Court proceedings are supposed to be public. If there are things that should be not on the record and done privately, that's okay. But there's no jury there today. There was no reason for her not to have a full colloquy and discussion about what was happening, but it's not what she does.
horrible.
Yeah.
Especially in this situation, because we're not trusting what's happening in that court. I mean, just the way the state police are treating people on the sidewalk. Like me, I feel like Mazza and I got singled out, and I think that other people are being singled out. They went after the Boston Herald reporter, who is a mainstream reporter, but he's one of the early adopters. So I wonder if they're not targeting us. Like, honestly, like, where are your credentials? Knowing that I don't have credentials now, I'm not getting in. They even today, I don't even know how they knew who I was. They're telling me where to go.
I don't know what they're doing, but
Yeah.
if they're making decisions that are in essence content based. In other words, targeting people who they think are a certain viewpoint, and that's the basis for targeting them. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you address in law school and constitutional law course when you study the First Amendment. So,
The
you
lack
know,
of trust, the way that they treat people, this is something wrong here. And then they escort Brian Albert in with all the
yeah,
state police. Like it's just like they don't, they only started offering Karen Reed any type of support recently, but they've made her life difficult in terms of how she enters. And it just like you can totally see at every level. This is why
yeah.
we don't trust them.
No, I mean, I get it. Yeah, it was just kind of a yucky day. I think the whole process probably left a bad taste in most people's mouth just because it's not a smooth process, and you shouldn't have to have a lawyer complaining about a verdict sheet. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that. It's not the kind of thing that ever comes up.
Yeah. We had a question about the mental health came in on Venmo about whether jurors in a tough verdict, especially when it's so highly contentious and the stress levels may be high. Do they offer them any type of mental health counseling if they need it?
No, nothing I'm aware of. I mean, they tell them to go back and deliberate, and they're allowed to take breaks, and somebody has to go to the bathroom or smoke a cigarette or whatever. They're just instructed that they have to stop deliberations, can't deliberate when any one of them is out of the room. I've never heard of jurors complaining about mental health breaks in counseling. I mean, certainly they're not going to counsel jurors during a deliberative process. If anything, they'd probably get dismissed if they said they were having a
Mental health issue.
yeah. I mean, to be candid, I think that would probably lead to a dismissal before it would lead to counseling.
Someone's asking me to put slow mode on tonight. I thought I did actually. Another thing that's not working. We'll try to work that out, Miss Shorty.
I don't even know what that means. Is that for the
It's
comments or
on the
something?
comments.
Oh, got
Sometimes especially when you're on, I have to put on the slow mode because it will just be so many comments that people can't read them,
it. Right.
and our
Right.
mods can't even like moderate if there's someone posting inappropriate stuff. It gets crazy in there.
Yeah.
Someone says I hate slow mode. I kind of do too, but I think it's good for our moderators. That's why I do it. And they want it. Yeah, some people hate slow mode. It's so funny. I'll try to get slow mode on. We'll see. What did you think about the jury being out now? Now we're going into basically day 2, but kind of day 3 technically, but it's really day 2.
I don't think
We don't
anything. Nothing changes analytically. I mean, my amateur guess, and I said it's guesswork. You don't know. But I took a guess, and I thought it would be pretty quick. It wasn't, obviously, but I don't think that means anything if you've been living this for years and reviewing this constantly and know what's going on. But the reality is, when you're talking about a murder case, you're in normal territory. I mean, everyone with this case just figures, how is this not over? And to some extent, I agree with that. But it's not abnormal to have a short deliberation day the first day, no verdict on the first full day, and come back for a third day, especially when you have a trial that is approximately 2 months long, right? Almost or more.
Yes.
73 witnesses, hundreds of exhibits. If you looked at it from that perspective, you're totally in the normal zone. And moreover, you have to remember how the jurors hear the evidence. They hear it and then it's gone. They don't review it. And this goes on for month after month. And they have to remember all of this. And I know they have notes, and that takes time well, my notes say this. What do you think? What do you remember? Um, and then they get summations and they start, but they don't know the materials like you do and all these other people who talk about it every day and go back and watch and do this. So I come back in off the ledge. If you're, come back inside. If you're standing on the ledge, why would anybody be panicking? There's no reason to panic. Are they really going to get 12 people to say she's guilty? I don't think there's any chance of that at all. It just makes no sense. The other thing, which I think is interesting, they've barely asked for any notes. So what are they even focused on? I mean, you can try to read tea leaves. They asked for the original search by the state police paperwork, for which there apparently is none. So what does that tell you? That tells you they're talking about the taillight. Is that a bad thing? No, I don't think so. I think that's probably a good thing if you believe in innocence, because what's to talk about if they just cops found taillight everywhere? Unless you're saying, well, did they? What did they find the first day? Where did they find it? How come they didn't find these huge, what did he say, salad dish size pieces day after day after day? If you believe the CERT team is more credible than the Proctor people, okay, but nothing was recovered by the Canton people. I mean, we could go down this for hours. I wouldn't read into it at all. But when they asked for a police report or anything that was in evidence related to their search, and the answer they got was, go back to deliberate because I have nothing to give you. I don't think that's good for the DA. Do you?
No, that's what I was thinking. I was going to be my question. Is that good that they didn't have a CERT report, that they were?
You also
the
don't
state didn't
know.
make one.
It's very dangerous to assume. I mean, for example, and I don't know anything, I'm totally speculating just to make an example. For all you know, you could have 11 people right now leaning on one who says, I don't believe that the cops would plant evidence. And well, what's it going to take? What are you hung up on? And they say, well, they could not have found everything the first search because of da da da. So how about we get the report? Okay, let's do that. If there's one juror giving you a hard time, you're going to get evidence for them if they want it. There may be 5 people, you get evidence. There may be a disagreement. This is an exercise in guesswork, but it's completely normal time-wise. Is it a little surprising? Yeah, I thought they'd be done, but it's not alarming. It's still a murder case for which they have to absorb a lot and haven't been studying it. So I don't come back inside off the ledge.
Yeah, someone just posted the same exact
What's that?
theory, the same exact theory that you talked about, that it
Could
just
be.
could be one unyielding juror.
It could be one, or there could be factions. I mean,
Yep.
again, it's pure guesswork, but if they're asking for that, then they're testing the integrity of the state police investigation. And it's kind of hard for that to end in a good way for the DA, don't you think?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my speculation. I shouldn't do it, but I don't read into this at all.
Someone said during the Lori Velo and Danny Bell cases, due to the nature of the evidence, they did offer some mental health counseling. But I wonder if that was after. Yeah, after
You
the fact.
can't
not
stop
during.
deliberations to say, I
Right.
need to go see a shrink.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm
That
not,
would be after the fact. Yeah.
I don't mean that in a disrespectful way.
No, but yeah, you're right.
That does not happen.
Yep.
You're going to get kicked off the jury.
But maybe after, like they did on that
Maybe.
other case. After, yeah.
Maybe.
If it's
I mean, I
really
don't
crazy.
I don't know how that works, but at that point after, who cares in terms of the case? But
Yep.
If you're, a defendant facing a life sentence and you find out that there's a juror who needs a mental health break because they're stressed, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah. Yeah, people are basically agreeing with you on that cert. Some people, we got a comment here, they don't like STS. I mean, I'd give that guy a break. I don't know why people.
I'm gonna stay out of that.
Yeah, I mean, you go on the show. He has you on the show, so that makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna not gonna say anything.
We're not gonna shit on him.
No.
I get that people want people to be stronger, but I think he's
not everyone's going to share your view. It's all right.
Exactly.
As long as they're not lunatics, it's okay.
Exactly. He's not a jerk.
People who are, no, he's not. He's good. I like him.
I do too.
Whether he
agrees with him.
disagree, he's polite. We have discussions, and if we agree to disagree, so be it.
He's not Kevin. He's not. Yeah, that's what I want to say. No. He's not Kevin.
No,
people need to relax a little bit.
doesn't bother me at all.
There was another question about the hung jury. I'm trying to find it, but they were questioning if there is a hung jury, is there generally a time frame where the Commonwealth has to make a decision on whether to prosecute it again? Is there like a
Yeah.
time limit?
I mean, I don't know what the exact time in Massachusetts is, but yeah, you have to, pardon the French, shit or get off the pot. You can't leave a defendant in limbo. They're asking you to send Turtle Boy a link, by the way. I'm just reporting what I see. I don't know.
Does he want a link? Is that what
I
Turtle Boy is trying to
think
get
so.
up tonight?
I think so.
All right.
But to finish the point, they have probably 30 or 60 days to make a choice in what they're going to do. And despite how awful the DA's office is, I'm not assuming that they retry her, even if Morrissey's the DA. The pressure is going to be so immense. And by the way, if you're Michael Proctor and Yuri Buchanan, are you coming back? Now, they can't plead the fifth, which is interesting that they screwed the pooch on that, right? They already testified. But if you're Buchanan, are you not telling the DA, I don't want to do this? Because I think if you give Jackson and Yannetti another couple of months to kind of regroup, refresh, and reload, I bet you they have a lot more questions to Buchanan that would be very disturbing for him in terms of the video, what happened in the Sally Port, that kind of stuff. I don't think they would be able to retry her. I don't. But I still think she's going to get acquitted.
Yeah, I do too.
And if she doesn't, but I don't think she's ever going to spend a day in jail. I think it'd be a shame if you had to do this again. That would be just, can you imagine? But I think you just have to wait and let the jury do what juries do.
And I did send Turtle Boy a link through Twitter if he wants to jump on. I'm wondering what he wants to jump on about tonight. Is there anything?
I don't know.
Because I've been kind of away from Twitter this afternoon and Facebook and all that because I was driving back and forth, and man, traffic was so bad today. It was horrible. Yeah. Way worse than yesterday. There was like a big concert going on and some crap, and
are people
I still have that comment up. I want to get rid of that comment. Sorry.
Are people really freaking out over the jury?
Not really. I think most people know what this is at this point, that there's a lot to go through. But
imagine if you
I think some of the trolls are excited. I think that's about it I've seen so far.
Well, honestly, about what? Because there hasn't been an acquittal in 24 hours. It also depends on how do you define a win. Ultimately, if you're the defense in this situation, a win is an acquittal ultimately. But if you, if you get a hung jury, a lot of times the defense will call that a win in the short term and leading to ultimately. But the DA is never going to win this case. They're never going to get a conviction. It's not going to happen. And by the way, if there's another retrial and the feds are 3 or 4 months more along, they may decide that they can declassify more documents that you may have no idea what they have. And do you think that they might do another document dump as another round of middle fingers to the DA? I'll bet they would. And I bet you they would arm the defense more. This is all, again, more speculation, but you just have to wait for the jury. They're going to do what they do, and it's going to end. And I think it's going to end well for people who want her to be acquitted.
A lot of questions in the chat too about this 4-person being chosen before they pick the jury, which
I know they have a weird procedure in Massachusetts that I'm not familiar with it. So I don't know. All I can tell you is it's weird. I've never seen it. I'm told that they do have eeny, meeny, miny judge picks the foreman 4-person. So I don't know, but should she have picked a 4-person before you pick the jury? I don't know why you would, because if you're randomly picking jurors, right? If that's what they do, they're literally using the wheel where they roll the thing and pull out and pick jurors. Well, if you pick a 4-person first, then you're not putting that person in the lottery. You're guaranteeing that one out of the 14 or 15 left, whatever it is gets a guaranteed seat, which defeats the whole purpose of a random draw, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that makes no sense to me.
There's a comment here that Bev, Judge Canoni also
Yeah,
specifically.
this I didn't like.
Yeah.
This bothers me because I understand a judge wanting to do that, but the judge really should stay out of the province of the fact finding. Okay. The jury are the judges of the facts. The judge is the judge of the law. All she should be doing about telling them about their deliberations are legal issues about it. Don't deliberate if somebody's not there. If an alternate has to step in, you have to start over. Be respectful of everyone's views. Be willing to change your mind, but don't abandon your conviction because you're being pressured, like that kind of stuff. If they want to go in and look around the room and say, what do you guys all think? Where are we? I don't know why she should be doing that. That necessarily, by the way, for the people who are freaking out, is going to elongate the process. Because if they did take a straw poll and it's like 10-2, that you're starting potentially hours ahead, right? So I don't know why she did that. I've never heard a judge say that. I don't think it's illegal, but I don't think it was appropriate. And I think it's another example of just all of this being a kind of cartoon trial.
Awesome. I'm wondering if Turtle Boy's going to show up. I'm wondering what the deal is because everyone in the chat is going crazy about Turtle Boy. I sent him the link on Twitter on his X account, so hopefully he jumps in. Ah, here it is. Maybe this is what he wants to talk about. See, I haven't checked Twitter today, so I haven't checked out his latest reporting. I saw him briefly today. I didn't even get to say hi. He says, per Turtle Boy, one juror is retired Norfolk cop, not from Canton. Do you think that could affect the jury here, Attorney Bederow? And is that surprising? Like, I'm surprised that they would let a cop on there.
I am surprised that perhaps for different reasons that either side would want that, knowing that there was going to be a full frontal attack on the state police, including Proctor and particularly. Clearly, the Canton cops were going to get attacked. But if you asked me who is it better for, I'd say it's probably better for the defense because the jury absolutely, when it comes to the investigation, is going to look at this guy and say, what's going on here? And assuming this guy is a real retired cop, and there's no reason to believe that he's not. If he is, he's going to say Proctor's a disgrace. He's going to say you don't search and find pieces of taillight over the course of 2 weeks because it reveals itself. I think he would probably say, I can't believe they didn't secure a crime scene at the morning of the death. I can't believe they used a leaf blower. I can't believe the solo cups. I can't believe the Sally Port video. So probably, again, speculating, that's a good thing, I think.
Be
assuming he's a normal guy.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have like special connections with Michael Morrissey and.
Well, I mean that's a problem. But then again, the defense agreed to put this person on, so they're they know what they're doing. But I mean that would be a very unfortunate one to let on if it turned out to be a problem. But I mean, you've spoken to many real cops. I've spoken to a million real cops, and I've yet to. Well, I mean, they contact me probably because they think this case is dirty. So maybe that's not a fair sample size analysis, but I think you would agree that a real cop is going to be appalled by what happened here.
I just did hear back from Turtle Boy. He realized he had to be on another show, the Christy Marr show, I guess he's on. So he's probably not going to be able to join us, unfortunately. I'm sure he's very busy. He's probably having a tough time keeping track of everything he's doing. I'm glad he wanted to come on tonight. That would have been good to. I mean, we got the info out. I think that's what he probably wanted to talk about is that this juror is a retired Norfolk County Norfolk cop, not Canton. I wonder if imagine if he's a county cop, that would be different. But if he was a court, I don't think so. It sounds like Norfolk town because there's a town called Norfolk.
I
So
don't know.
that, yeah, we'll have to look at that. I haven't seen it yet. Here's a question. If the verdict is not guilty for the murder charge, but a hung jury for a lower charge, would the state be less likely to retry the case?
I doubt it because the murder charge is kind of a joke, really. I mean, this case is grossly overcharged anyway. And to be candid, they'd be doing the DA a favor if they were inclined to retry the case because at least they would be a little more credible. I mean, again, this DA's office, they're zombies. They just, at least for now, don't care about being humiliated. And the reality is, overcharging, you lose credibility. Now, they did something that was kind of credible. I give them a little credit when they didn't ask for the misdemeanor driving while intoxicated, or I think it's an OUI in Massachusetts, operating under the influence. Same thing, like misdemeanor drunk driving. They could have, but I think even they recognize that if I'm charging her with murder, how the hell am I asking for a misdemeanor DWI as a, down the line lesser included offense? So that seemed to be an actually intelligent decision by them, I think. If they're better off getting an acquittal than a misdemeanor DWI. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Nope, you're silenced.
Oh, sorry. There's John Como. He's one of the Karen Reed bodyguards that I saw today. Thank you, John. It's great seeing you today again. Yeah, I mean, everybody's watching tonight. We got what do we have? 9,196 already. That's amazing on YouTube. Few more comments are coming in, lots of questions. If you have questions, this is your time to do it right now. I'm going to check the regular chat too. Let's put this one up. Okay, so they're saying that's just how it works, right?
Okay, I mean, I'll take this at face value. It just seems stupid. Why pick someone to be a foreperson, but then you don't get picked as a juror, and they say, okay, you're out. I mean, I guess that's how it works, and I doesn't make any sense to me. But I think people are stretching and looking for conspiracies, and it's not a good idea. I mean, I don't think she's forcing jurors on. I don't. I mean, I can't go down that kind of rabbit hole. I think she was terrible today. I thought she was nasty. I thought she was wrong on all this stuff, but I can't go down the rabbit hole that somehow she's part of a conspiracy to seat jurors because the Alberts are tipping off and making sure that they get their juror. I mean, if that's the case, when it's all over, then people will go to prison. Okay, fine, then they would deserve to. But I don't. That's too much for me right now.
Yeah, I love it. Mark, when do you think they'll come back with a verdict?
Yesterday. I mean, I don't know. We don't know what they're talking about. We don't know what they're thinking. Tomorrow is day 3. So I think you're getting into the normal zone. What I would say is I would imagine if they're going to reach a verdict, because obviously if they don't, it could go whatever. I would say Friday would be the line in the sand because it's the weekend. And do they want to come back? I mean, what are you talking about after 4 days? I don't know. So I don't know exactly when it will happen, but I would be, if there's going to be a verdict, which I think there will be, I think they're not coming back next week.
Did you just see me put up the hands thing? My
No,
girlfriend came in. Something's
Oh,
going on at my house. I don't know
yeah.
what the hell's
Stuff's
going
going
on.
Stuff's
The
going
dog
on.
was going crazy. She went out, then she came in, looked in. I don't know, but
Do I have a Lola here under me? No, she's
Yeah.
not here. The cone of shame is off, by the way. We're back in
the
business.
cone of shame that
Yeah, it's off.
that got posted on Twitter today.
That's
You
all
see
right.
that?
She likes it.
People
One
were
of my
like,
dogs likes to come in here and hang out. The other one wants nothing to do with it.
people love that. They were like, Lola, 9,700. Oh my God. Let's see if we can get to 10 tonight. We've never gotten to 10 live. We are so close. And we got a shitload on Facebook too. So that's Wow. Let's see if we can get to 10,000 on YouTube tonight. I'm looking for more questions. I'm looking where are the questions coming? There's so many comments. Nobody posted any comments but a question. I want to leave room tonight. This is a less stressful show. People have had all these questions from Mark over the time that I haven't gotten in. Tonight's the night. If you have a question, drop it right now.
So you were down there today. How is the crew holding up? I mean, I'm assuming they're not freaking out.
I didn't really get a chance to see them because I came in so late.
Right.
And I went basically right over to the stairs and stood on the opposite side of the street because I knew the cops weren't going to let me across. And I tried to film it from there, and then, I just basically went over as they got in the cars and they
Yeah.
left. So I got to shake Nathan's hand. He was probably the one I talked to the most, and Kelly, I think, but it was like literally like 2 seconds. So
Yeah.
I didn't really get a chance to see the family as much as yesterday. But I mean, they looked like they were strong. I have a feeling yesterday, definitely, I don't know Karen, but just being around and seeing what was going on yesterday, I could tell. I just felt like she was feeling it yesterday. I really do. And I think
Stress.
there's obvious, yeah, yeah. Not
It's bound to
knowing. I mean,
happen. I mean, it's the end of the line. I mean, you hold it in and you push it away for 2 years, and then reality sets in at the end. And I mean, it's normal. I don't know how you hold it in that long, and when you're under that kind of stress, but it'll be over soon.
yeah. But I felt like everyone else in the crowd, that's mostly what I interacted with today. They were still, they're gonna keep showing up. Like they're not giving up. They're gonna keep showing up. And it was just amazing to see again. I had people
The
bringing up their kids up to me, like taking pictures with their little kids. So it's like, what the heck?
yeah,
Everybody's in on it.
Michael Corleone and Frankie Pentangeli's brother didn't show up again today. That was a 1 day thing.
I guess, yeah. I guess, I mean, yeah, what do they have to show up for? There's nothing,
I
there's
don't
no
know.
audience today, right?
Well, when they get notes, you go in the audience and give them the.
Actually, the thing is, I didn't really see, I saw some of it like earlier today, but I didn't see, do they have people there in the audience today? Did you
Yeah,
watch over? They
I
did.
didn't see anything, but I saw the exchange where she was, arguing with them and was a little pissy about it, and then told Karen Reed to, stop smiling and just kind of, we're done, and huffed and puffed and got out.
Damn.
And
Question.
there were people in the O'Keefe section you could see. So yeah,
Cheryl says, do you think Bev realizes her attitude after the fact?
I don't think she cares. She runs the courthouse, and I think what bothers her is that it's not quiet time, and it's harder to run the courthouse the way you want when it's a high profile case and the big guns come in. And two of the three lawyers in particular are not from here, so they don't really care about how they're perceived here after. It's easier to be more aggressive, and I don't think she likes it. I mean, I think you can see some dislike clearly.
We did it. We
Oh,
got, yeah, we broke the 10,000. We're over 10,000. Mark doesn't care, but like
no, that's great.
yeah,
I'm just thinking the point, which is
to the
I don't
case.
I don't think the judge cares
Yeah.
one way or the other. I think she's hoping that this is going to end and she can go back to smaller cases where nobody's bothering her. There's no cameras. I'm not being discussed on the internet every night. There aren't people outside dressing up like me. There aren't these memes being made online about me. There aren't jokes about sipping margaritas and going to the Cape. And I mean, nobody likes that kind of stuff. If you live a life as a judge and you just run the courthouse, which she apparently does.
The question about Dr. Wolf's wife joining a Free Karen regroup after he testified. If
Bad
that,
move. Bad move. It doesn't matter in terms of the case, the evidence, but if you want to feed the loonies and give them opportunities to, jump in on conspiracies that they're always laughing at many people who listen here. It's not a great look. Now, on the other hand, the guy rendered an opinion, what, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and she waited until he was done testifying and she joined the group. One could conclude that, um, and by the way, Dr. Wolf, I remember this. He testified. I didn't even know who Karen Reed was when I did this report. Now, does he know her now? Of course. Has he probably been exposed to media and whatever? Yeah. Has he probably talked to his family about it? Sure. And, has his wife looked around and said, my husband is essentially a rocket scientist genius, and basically said that there is no freaking way that this taillight would have cracked into 45 pieces and the damage to the car. So does it make sense that the wife of the key witness would support his conclusion, which by definition supports a not guilty finding? And when then you look at the fractured taillight pieces, you can go another step and say, if the taillight could not have cracked under the laws of physics and math and science and all that stuff, well, that really only leaves one other possibility. It got there in an unnatural way, which is just a nice, clean, nice way of saying somebody framed her and put it there. So is it shocking that his wife would be sympathetic to someone that she believes has got to be innocent based upon her husband's conclusion? No. Is it a great look to join, the page? Probably not. Does anybody really care? No.
Absolutely.
Does it allow, FBI lady to pontificate about what she perceives to be fair and unfair, since she is the ombudsman now these days of, who's right and who's wrong? No. So she rants. I mean, I had to correct her on
Is
some
she
stuff
though?
today.
I thought her boss was the DA of Suffolk of Norfolk County.
Well, we know she communicated with them, but
Yeah. They think
she
that they boss her around.
she
I
was
know that for a fact now.
yeah, she was pontificating today about the TUI stuff, and she's been taking a lot of shots at Jackson and how he claimed this and none of it panned out, and she couldn't have been just more dead wrong. And I really question what she did in the FBI, because she has zero clue how law enforcement works and how the U.S. attorney discloses documents under a TUI production, and what gets disclosed under a TUI production, what doesn't
Yeah,
get
she didn't do any of that
disclosed.
stuff. She was like a weapons trainer or something like
I don't
that.
know. I spoke
Yeah,
to
that's what I heard.
during a lunch break today. I spoke to Sean for 20
Sean
or 30
McDonough.
minutes, and he said initially she was like an agricultural agent, and said, with binoculars, seeing if they're tipping cows and stuff. I don't know if he was being serious. It was kind of funny. And she's polite enough, but her analysis is just
Whack.
brutally wrong. But I think she's also speaking to a different type of audience. It's kind of like a Nancy Grace type
Yeah,
audience.
yeah.
They're
The
not
state's
really
always right.
invested.
They're not invested. Yeah, they're not heavily invested. They
No,
just
and she
follow her.
does no analysis. She just states conclusory things that she's decreed to be correct. And I mean, I don't. It's not worth your time if you ask me. But
Yeah.
it's for some people, I guess.
They want to know if Judge Canoni will receive reprimand.
No,
Oh.
no. In that case, the Florida Parkland shooter case, she was hugging the prosecutors. Okay, literally, they were like, no, she's not going to get reprimanded because she's cranky and complains and sighs and does things like that. And also remember, at least with respect to the legal issue, she ultimately did the right thing. So no, she's not getting sanctioned. I know people want to write letters and all, that's fine, but nothing's going to happen to her.
We had a comment about Dr. Wolf's wife too. They reminded us that it probably is a fake account. There's so many parody and fake accounts out there. So
It
good
wasn't
point,
in
Amber.
English. Somebody put it online and it looked to be like Dutch or some other language. It was not English.
Sounds like a troll account, troll
Could
bot,
be.
a troll bot. They got these. Yeah, it's funny what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Vala Law. I think it's Vala Law. Yeah. Was it a unique challenge for the defense to have so much evidence for reasonable doubt? How do they winnow down what is important?
It is hard to winnow down what is important, but I mean, from a defense perspective, I'm not going to complain that there's too much reasonable doubt. I mean, that's as I said the last time we talked about this, there's only really one thing, and this is just stylistic. Lawyers can do it different ways. It's not a criticism per se, because I thought the summation was outstanding. But I thought they would have led with the ARCA stuff as part of the opening salvo and really established out of the gate that I can tell you why this case is over in the first 5 minutes, but there's much, much more, and give them the rest of it in the context where they've already said, my God, he's right. If there's no car accident, there's no case. So that's what I thought they were going to do. They didn't do it that way, but then they did it in a really good way. And I don't think it's going to be ultimately an issue, but you're never going to complain about so much reasonable doubt. But when you only have an hour in a case like this, yeah, that can be tough. I mean, it's an hour is usually enough time in most cases. I mean, I have to do a summation tomorrow. It'll probably be around an hour, but it's nothing like this. I mean, this is 2 months. Mine's been 7 weeks, but there's been days off and it's a little different. It's not nearly the complexity of what these guys have been going through. It's not even close to that, but it's hard to do it, to pick and choose. I thought they might have mentioned what reasonable doubt was a little more. They did at the end really well. I thought that was pretty powerful, about, especially with the Massachusetts charge, with the moral certainty, as much as anything in your life. I mean, I don't know how anybody in Massachusetts gets convicted of anything with that kind of reasonable doubt charge.
Well, hopefully it helps Karen Reed on this one.
It will.
Do prosecutors ever talk publicly about their cases after a loss? They're
If they're
wondering if you'll ever hear from Lally.
If they're ethical, they don't, because, if the case is an acquittal, then the arrest and prosecution is supposed to be sealed. It's been dismissed. It never happened, essentially. You don't get punished for getting arrested when you get acquitted. There's no record of it that the public should have access to. And ethically, a prosecutor shouldn't be talking about the case of a defendant who won and had it sealed. Do I think that Morrissey will, and try to, woe is me, and we gave it a college try, and, we put out the evidence, and, we believe the witnesses? Yeah, I do, because history tells you he will, from that ridiculous press conference that he gave previously. And I think he also is fighting a bigger battle. I mean, he needs to win public approval to defend himself, both to stay in his own office and to try to avoid other entanglements, as they say.
Another question: is a judge allowed to ask the Commonwealth if they're going to object?
I've seen it happen from time to time. Normally, a judge will say, "You do what you want. You're on your own." I've seen it. I mean, I don't think it's much either way. It happens from time to time. I think this judge has bigger problems than looking at him and saying, "Are you going to object?"
This is a former patrolman with North Andover Police Department. He says, Mark, can you talk more about FBI involvement in the way of Title 18 wiretaps, possible sealed indictments, any of those involved as witnesses signing a proffer?
Well, wiretaps are Title III. In order to get, a wire, it's hard. You can't just, it's not like applying for a search warrant. The way it's spelled out, under Title III of the Omnibus Crime Control Act of, 1968, or the RICO type stuff.
RICO Act.
You have to submit an affidavit from a very high-ranking person in the office. It has to be approved by, the Justice Department in DC. It has to go to a district judge, not a magistrate, who's kind of a lesser one. They are generally only authorized for 30 days. Then they have to be renewed. And then when they end, they have to notify the people whose phones were picked up. So if somebody's phone was being tapped and they called you, when the wire ends, they would send you a letter and say, hey, buddy, just letting you know you were picked up on a wiretap. But they also have to put in the affidavit in seeking the wiretap that they've exhausted all other means. And in order to basically make a case, we have to be able to do it this way. So if they were able to get a wiretap in this case and clear all those hurdles, that would make me very nervous if I were any of the bad guys here. Do they have wiretaps? I don't know, but you know how you heard all these kind of stories, assuming they're true, I don't know, but where they would say that, the Alberts and McCabe's would go on what we used to call walk talks, like, the mafia guys they didn't want to talk on the phone, so they just take a walk outside the social club and put their hands over their mouth and walk back and forth. They call them go on a walk talk. And it appears that people were saying that the McCabe's and Alberts were doing that. Now, that's not normal behavior. And that was, if that's true, then they must believe that, their phones are tapped.
That's what Whitey Bulger used to do. Castle Island. He used to
Yeah.
always meet outside. But then the feds started putting like bugs under rocks and things like that outside where they knew he'd be.
I could tell you some stories from the case I had with the FBI agent, because all the guys, he was in charge of like their two organized crime family squads, and all his friends are OC guys. And good friends with the guys who put the bugs in Paul Castellano's house. If you know who he was,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
the one that got
he's the one that got
Sparks Steakhouse. And another guy who was his friend was the head of the surveillance unit. And, we'd go on tours of Brooklyn, like a sightseeing tour. This one lives here. This is where this one got whacked here. This is where it's good stuff. It's very interesting stuff, but sealed indictments, maybe, probably not yet, but the ARCA report, I think we determined was dated in February. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's recent. That's not old. And they're not
Do you
done.
think that means when they actually got signed up, or do you think that's when they came out? Like that, I wondered about that actually. Did they come up with
the report is dated I haven't seen the report, obviously. The report, I'm sure, says, we were engaged on this day for whatever. But if the report was signed on the 24th, if that's what we're talking about, then I would imagine they submitted their report to the U.S. Attorney, FBI, whichever agency they're directly talking to, in February. And that's really only, March, April, May.
So that would indicate they're still working on something.
And I think people also need to realize that they don't turn over everything even when they make a TUI disclosure. If there's an open investigation and there's reports from confidential informants, they're not giving that to the defense. No way. If there are, this is going to sound crazy, but what if they have informants in the state police, in the DA's office? I don't know. They're not turning that over, obviously.
Yeah.
If they have this thing called sources and methods, right? About how they acquire information and what they're not going to tell the defense, private parties, how they do things. So that you have to believe that there's a lot more over there.
I think there is. I think
there has to be something more.
Yeah, I think there's internal leaks going on too. I just have a sneaky suspicion.
Well, that's what they do. They try to generate sources, and
like you said, I would not doubt they have someone in the DA's office or the state police. Who knows? Mark, does one need to be a paperwork freak to be a successful lawyer?
Well, if you want to be a transactional lawyer, absolutely. If you want to be a litigator, maybe not as much, but you still have to know how to write and read. To prepare. Cross-examination and preparation is reading a lot, writing a lot. But yeah, the answer is pretty much yes.
What's a transactional attorney?
Contracts, real estate, corporate,
estate law,
the boring stuff.
Yeah.
And I take it from me. I know, because I'm a
wills.
I'm a real estate lawyer, as you know.
Yeah, you're a real estate lawyer. So funny.
I don't know. You know more about real estate law than I do. Trust me.
Yeah, my real estate law was like 15 years ago, so I know nothing now. That shit changes. Even though like the limits on Roth IRAs, every year you gotta be updated.
If you need a real estate lawyer and you live in Massachusetts, I can give you good advice. I can give you a very good referral
There you
because
go.
I don't know the first thing about it.
That's what I would do. I would give you some referrals if anyone needs anything like that. Don't ask me for tax advice or real estate advice. I'll give
Yep.
you some stock advice. I'll tell you what I'm buying. That's about it on the stocks.
I
I'm
wish I
killing
had
it.
Apple. What can you say?
Oh,
Yeah.
I got tons of Apple.
Well, did
I
you get it
sold
like
some this
years
year
ago?
actually at a huge gain, and I was like,
Ah,
I'm gonna regret this, and it went back up, and I was just
yeah.
like, you know what though, I needed to buy some new stuff, and it's still like my number one holding, so whatever. I
Oh,
mean,
all right.
yeah, I'm killing it.
That'll buy a lot of Kowloon.
Yeah. My poor it's funny because when I was poor, I made all these rich people money. And
That's
now I'm
America.
making good money for myself. Like now I'm just like, this is what it's about. Making myself the money now.
That's America.
Yeah. We got more questions coming in. Where is the Boston Police Department? Where's the BPD?
You know, it's interesting. They're not there. Now I know there's limited seats and whatnot, but you'd think that if there were some very strong supporters for the O'Keefe side who said, listen, we're from the Boston Police Department, we want to support our fallen brother, that the family would, save a couple seats, you'd think. But so I'm assuming that for whatever reason, I don't know what to make of it, but it is kind of I feel terrible it's like John O'Keefe is just, in this case, nothing more than a corpse. It's really sad. He's just the body on the lawn. He got no respect when they investigated the case. He's getting very little, at trial, and he's getting very little support other than, Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe and his good friend Colin Albert.
Mm, that was hard to see.
That was weird. That was really weird.
So it says, Mark, what is your favorite type of case to defend? It's coming from Christy Allison.
Somebody who's getting screwed. I mean, whatever the charges. I mean, I'm going through that right now. I'm hoping to finish it up tomorrow. I mean, there were things that happened today in that very case that were some of the most disgusting things I ever saw in a courtroom. That really, it's very motivating for tomorrow. But today, client actually testified, which is very rare, but sometimes it's necessary, and has been subject to domestic abuse her whole life by her, now deceased husband, who's a very bad person. And the prosecutor today tried to cross-examine her for what I think is very small and meaningless point, by making her listen to a 911 call she made in August of 2022 because he was threatening to kill himself and sent an email to a bunch of people. And I told her to call 911, and she did. And when the cops got there, he was dead on the couch with a bullet hole, self-inflicted in his head. And he was under indictment for murder at the time. It's a whole crazy thing, but they made this woman who was abused for decades and shouldn't be prosecuted for anything. This is the one that I posted something about it the other day, the one in Queens. And they made her listen to this recording privately with headphones because it wasn't in evidence. And she just lost it. And it was so raw and so sick and so sadistic. And it was really over nothing.
What
and
the hell?
It was sick. And then she, when they tried to ask her a question about it, bless her heart, she lashed out like I've never seen anyone on a witness stand lashed out in a 3-minute tirade. Usually, you tell people don't do that. This one, you just sat back and said, they deserve all of it, so give it to them. And she did. So, but it was really sick what they did. So that's the kind of case I like to defend, people like her.
And this is going on right now.
This is going on right now. I like really good wrongful conviction cases where people are actually innocent, like the one we talked about last week, John Juca, as you know, that's been part of my life for 12 years. I believe his mother might even, I think Doreen was in the chat earlier, actually.
Wow.
She's Mother Justice. If you see her, I thought I
Mother
saw her.
Justice. We
Yeah.
need to get Mother Justice on here. As soon
Yeah.
as we
Well,
get this Karen Reed
yeah.
verdict, I'm putting that down. We got to get her on here. I love
It's
that.
the
Mother
wife of the
Justice.
duck. Somebody says, is it the duck sauce case? The husband was who they called the so-called duck sauce killer. She was married to him, and she's being, well, I'm going to say it again tomorrow, punished for her husband's sins, which is
That's
shameful.
horrible. I
It's
mean,
horrible.
she it sounds like she suffered a lot. I mean, imagine that she
She
did.
suffered a lot, and for her trouble, she's being prosecuted for his firearms, and she's actually innocent, but those cases are a blessing and a curse when you
Mm.
have somebody like that.
Does
You
it
like
eat
it,
you up at times? Like,
yes,
yeah,
yeah. No, I was pissed off today. It
right.
bothers you, but you have to channel it too. But
How do you channel it? Because I've had that problem with like certain, like this Lorna
turn
McMurray who
turn
died.
the anger into motivation to say, I just want to proverbially kill these people tomorrow, not literally, but just stick it to them and walk her out of there. So you use it as a motivator.
Must be great when it works out.
Yeah, but it's a blessing and a curse. You always want an innocent client because it's, you want to be Atticus Finch, right? You want to
Right.
be, you want to be that guy who does real justice and something you made a difference. On the other hand, when you represent someone who's completely innocent, it's a curse because it's terrifying. If you lose, you're going to blame yourself and say, my God, I just cost that person their life. So, which is probably exactly how these lawyers are sitting there right now at this time of the case thinking about. It's the worst part of a trial for a lawyer is when the jury is deliberating because there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, we had a question about that. Like, how do you think Jackson and Yannetti are feeling right now about the case?
Confident, but anxious because it's boring. You're waiting. There's nothing you can do. They're used to being in charge. They're used to doing a lot of things. And right now they're completely helpless to the leanings of a jury. And their advantage is gone, right? They can't beat up on Lally anymore. It's over. It's all it's in the can, as they say. The case is in the can. It's out of their control, and there's nothing you can do. Although at least he got to do something productive today by correcting the judge. So it's credit for that. But it's boring for the lawyers, I think, right now. Now it's also a little unique because they're walking around outside these last few days, and it looks like Beatlemania. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy.
So
It's
I'm
unbelievable.
sure they find that motivating and keeps them engaged and
People,
all of
when
that.
they get in the car, they're like, "Roll down the window,
I know.
wave to us." It's
Yeah,
just like,
no, they've become like figures,
yeah.
and
Mm.
I get it. They're really good, notwithstanding. One of the idiot trolls, the usual one today, was saying how bad Jackson was, and he's gonna cost and I gotta tell you, when you practice in New York, one of the advantages you get is you see the best of the
The
best
best,
at
yeah.
every level, prosecutors, defense lawyers. And so I've had the opportunity to be around those people on both sides and all of that. And I'm here to tell you that Alan Jackson is one of the best. Like,
Yeah, no
he just
doubt about it.
is. There's no doubt about it. And the lawyers who tell you he's not probably are just either jealous
Or
um,
stupid.
or stupid.
Yeah, that's it. I was jealous or stupid. I love that. Here's a comment. When Karen Reed is found not guilty, what advice would you give her about media and statements?
Are we allowed to swear or no on this?
It depends on what the swear word is. No,
The
yeah,
F
it
word?
doesn't matter.
Is the F word
I
okay?
don't know. I don't know about YouTube.
I
It's up
would
to you.
say
I don't care.
blow the mother effing place up.
That's
I
safe.
would I would unleash the hounds, because here's the problem. Not guilty is a legal thing, but what they care about and what the public cares about is actual innocence. And the jury is not going to declare you actual innocent. There are going to be some people who still whisper and think, and they ruined her life. They took away her job. They took away her reputation. All of her private health issues and everything have been put out that shouldn't be. And the only way that she's going to really, I think, restore her reputation is to demonstrate innocence. And I think they've got a lot of scores to settle. She's never had a chance to be asked really about, what do you think about Michael Proctor? What do you think about these other people? What do you if she's acquitted, she's out of legal jeopardy. She's home free. So I would unleash the hounds, and I'm sure they will. She's not really shy in talking, because she talks a lot, actually, for a criminal defendant on the street, which I probably wouldn't do. And I think I saw a video the other day. They were finally like really going out of their way to just, keep her moving along, just because, you don't want people to see it. But I would expect they're going to have a lot of strong things to say about a lot of people, from the Norfolk County DA's office, from the Massachusetts State Police, to certain residents of 34 Fairview Road, certain other Canton residents who make Google searches about how long it takes to die in the cold and those kinds of things. And who would blame her?
I don't think anyone would. I mean,
Nope.
that's the key.
It's not going to harm her civil case. I mean, look, a lot of times, you want to make sure you're being careful, but, I wouldn't even be surprised for a person like her if her reputation was, issue number one, and collecting the millions of dollars that she may very well collect when this is all over would be issue number two. I mean, look, if things work out for my situation in the next couple days, there's a woman who's had something to say for a long time. And, I keep telling her, you can't. But at some point, the eruption is going to come. And when it happens, knock on wood, because I sure as hell hope it does, I'm there for it, and I can't wait to see it.
Awesome. And we're talking about did this New York Post says Mark shredded the witnesses.
No,
Is that about this or something else?
Yeah, that was this case. That it's like 7 weeks ago already. Like, what's the date of that article? I think it's like early May. It's so long ago. But yeah, the first cop who testified against her, that was their take. So, we're not going to complain about that. Obviously, that's a good thing.
You're getting some good media. You also, again, I heard you when I was driving in. I heard you again, second day in a row. I caught you on the Grace Curley show,
Yeah.
WRKO 680. How was that?
It's good. I like her. It's become essentially a daily thing. And it's also been my therapy, because it happens during one of the breaks from this crazy trial. And when you have to spend all day in Queens, and there's no place to eat, and there's no place to go, and the courthouse is a dump, and there's nothing to do, it's like the steady call during the break actually is therapeutic. So I like it. And she's good.
And you were supposed to be on the Howie Carr show today, but it didn't work out, huh?
I got stuck in court. Yeah. So we'll do it again some other time.
That's a big show too. That would be.
Yeah. No,
have you been on Howie's show before?
No.
That would have been the first time.
Yeah. No, I was looking forward to that, but it'll happen.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of media about this Karen Reed now. It's here everywhere. What do you like? Do you look at certain interviews and be like, wow, I can't believe I did that, or that was awesome, or it's just kind of all the same because you do so many of them?
No, yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, it's just, over the years, there's been a lot of these, so it's not different in that regard. But, I think this one, even though I have nothing to do with it, is troubling. This one's bothersome, and I have sympathy for Karen Reed and her family. I think she's getting screwed. And I would think she's getting screwed even if you're just talking about not guilty as opposed to innocence, because even if you want to go after someone and there's some degree of evidence, you have to be fair. You have to have credible evidence. And I don't think they do. I think they've not been honest in this process. I think what the DA's office has done in this case, where they are just ignoring obvious red flags, which to me is the scandal about how they can go forward knowing the ARCA report. I would actually argue that it's unethical under what is it, Rule 3.8, I think, which is titled like special rules for prosecutors. And it's actually legally unethical for a prosecutor to bring a case if they don't have probable cause. And I would suggest that the minute they got the ARCA report and they couldn't refute it, I'm talking months ago or whatever it was, and they couldn't find a credible way to refute that, that if you credit that report, that vitiates the probable cause. How could there be probable cause to believe that she ran him over and killed him if the credentialed experts are saying there's no way this happened?
Yeah.
So you could make an argument right now that that Morrissey and Lally, you can look it up, Rule 3.8. Because Massachusetts and New York, I know they have it's the same rule. So I'm talking about the New York rule, but I'm telling you it's the same in Massachusetts. I think it's called special responsibilities of a prosecutor. It is unethical to prosecute someone when you know there's no probable cause, and they have no argument to refute the ARCA stuff, no good faith argument. And the answer is not Trooper Paul. I'm sorry.
So they could face some consequences, possibly.
I doubt it. I mean, they could. I mean, this is kind of like a law school exercise analysis. I mean, do I think that they would be brought up on disciplinary charges? You know, I don't know. The more I think about it, maybe, because this is so ridiculous. But that's the scandal part of this too. I mean, they could have done certain things when they got the ARCA report. Okay. The first thing that a real prosecutor would have done was take a deep breath and say, well, this is troubling. And then say, well, what do we do now? And I think the first obvious thing would have been to take a pause, and we need to verify, confirm, or dispel this report. So they should have sought permission from the feds to interview the witnesses and say, can you tell us? And what about this? You know, they're so concerned about the other evidence they didn't see. Let us talk to them. Okay. And let us show them the taillight pieces. And these guys would say, no, doesn't matter. It's a scientific formula. It's the amount of force per pound. I mean, I'm not a math guy, but you know what I mean.
They would work it out. Yeah.
Right. And so if that were the case, and you're the DA, and those are the answers that you get, then you say, well, wait a minute now. Our theory is wiped out here. So now what do we do? And then you say, well, wait a minute. There's all these taillight pieces. How did that get there if it wasn't from what we were told? Could they have been planted? And then they probably should have taken a deeper look into the state police. But the problem with that is this is the incestuous Canton mob. The state police live in the DA's office in this case, basically. So they're not even really equipped to do that because of a conflict. They could have reopened the case and said, well, wait a minute. Maybe we should have looked at the Alberts and McCabe's a little more carefully. They didn't do that. What they did was shrug their shoulders and say, who cares? Let's go forward. And that makes no sense. So you have to ask yourself, why would they do that? They know she's not going to get convicted. They know they don't really have a case against her. Why are they doing this?
Question I think I know the answer to, but we'll ask it. Would you have taken Karen Reed's case?
Of course. Absolutely. Why not? Yeah, of course.
Let's pretend you did take it and you're looking at Karen Reed and her family right now. What would you be telling them?
Stay disciplined, hold the line, and stay the course. That this is normal, stressful. I get it, but you've got to just even keeled. But I mean, you know, when I went out there a couple of weeks ago and met all of them, they were totally all staying the course, in line, completely calm. And, you know, when I spoke to her briefly, she was completely like ready to fight, steel. I mean, very much engaged in, I mean, it was impressive because I don't know how you do that after, even by then, it had been a month and a half or 2-month trial. And she was very motivated. Her family was motivated. Her friends were motivated. there's 150 supporters. I know now it's like 3,000 with the verdict, but so all those people out there, I mean, I'm sure that helps a lot. But I mean, all you can tell them is the evidence is not there, meaning for the DA, and just got to go through the process. You can't rush the jury, even though you want to. So, and I would try to keep her as calm as possible, and just that's all you can. I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah. I see some people getting impatient in the super chats. I'm not asking their questions. You gotta just relax. Number one, I can't ask every question, and post your question again if I missed it, because it's hard to find them. Don't say, "Can you ask my question again?" I can't if you don't post it. So you got to post the question. Um, Here's one. Can you have a hung jury for one or more count and not guilty for others? Is it a hung jury for all, if any? Is this possible? Have you seen it? I want to follow up on that too. Like, if she's found innocent on the most serious charges, but the lower charges come in hung, she's still not guilty on the serious charge, right? That the only thing they could redo is the lower charge. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
So you can have a split verdict. It doesn't have to be guilty across the board. You need a unanimous verdict on any particular count, but you can have, and of course, the lower counts, if they're lesser included, don't get considered if you do the higher one. But if she were, in your hypothetical, acquitted on the top count and hung on the second two, the top count is gone forever. I mean, that's going to be double jeopardied out. So if they retried her, they would now be stuck retrying her on the other two counts. They couldn't go back to the one that she got acquitted. That would be gone. That would violate double jeopardy.
We're getting a lot of questions about this, and I don't know anything about this, but let's assume it's true, because everyone keeps saying that Jen McCabe was meeting with Lally behind the courthouse, smoking a cigarette, is what people were saying, that they were both smoking and talking behind the courthouse. I don't have any evidence of that, but let's say it happened. Is that a problem for them or
No,
not?
I mean, the evidence is closed. I mean, you saw her in the courtroom because the evidence was closed. She couldn't come. I mean, she was on the defense witness list, so she couldn't watch the remainder of the trial. But no, I mean, the evidence is closed, so anybody can do whatever. And the fact that Lally is talking to her, I mean, as much as you like to just kind of like just take pot shots and kick Lally down the road every day, this time there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I don't know. The answer is they can do that. It may be weird, it may not be, but it's not inappropriate.
What's this Alford plea? They're asking about if, yeah.
Um, I don't think there's any way that Karen Reed would do it, but an Alford plea is a really weird procedure. It's not authorized everywhere. I'm going to assume that it is something in Massachusetts, but to be candid, I don't know. An Alford plea is a weaselly outcome where a defendant doesn't really want to plead guilty, but doesn't admit their guilt, but acknowledges that the state, the Commonwealth in this case, has evidence against me that could prove my guilt, but I'm not going to actually allocute my guilt. In other words, I'm not going to walk into court and say, yes, Your Honor, I ran him over, to plead guilty to like vehicular manslaughter. But you would be seeking to plead guilty without doing the hard part and just conceding that they have sufficient evidence. It's a really weaselly, I mean, it sounds awful, right? It sounds like a cave in, but why would Karen Reed ever plead guilty? Whether she has to allocute or not. How could she say with a straight face that there is sufficient evidence to prove my guilt when the ARCA guys said this could not have happened?
Exactly.
So I don't think an Alford plea is a
We'll have
realistic thing. And I also think but it's a guilty plea. It has the same force and effect as a conviction, and she would be convicted of whatever. And she's not doing that.
She's not doing it. Definitely. I don't see it happening either. No way.
No.
Someone said there is evidence. Look up the picture. Evidence of what though? That they just hung
I don't
out
know what
and
that
smoked the
means.
cigarettes. Yeah, we don't really.
Oh,
I don't need to look it up because it's not really relevant. It doesn't
I
really
don't think
matter.
it matters. I mean,
Yeah.
look, she's a witness in a case. Lally allegedly believes her, whatever. I mean, I think that's bonkers. I don't even know if it's true, but in any event, she showed up yesterday they know each other from this case, and they, you know, sucking down lung darts, outside the courthouse. I mean, that's what can you say? It's,
Yeah.
my God, but
Uh,
it's not
yeah.
unethical or anything. It doesn't matter.
Someone says, "Are you starring the super chats?" I think that automatically happens unless that's something that's not working tonight too. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I think they just automatically go to the top. Rhonda, thank you so much for the donation. And more people are talking about this. This is what everyone wants to talk about. JM and Lally smoking together. I don't care. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
They're
Here's
fine.
another question. It was reported early on that one or more of the lawyers are working pro bono. Is this true?
I don't know. I don't know what the affairs of her lawyers are. Probably not, only because how could you for this long, when the mortgage is due and other things. I mean, there are times where lawyers take cases pro bono or at greatly reduced rates. Um, when you're in a position where you're able to do that and pick and choose, that's easy. So like I can pick and choose if I want to, not get paid, which I don't. I mean, you're required to do some pro bono work, but or reduce fees or whatever. But I don't know how you would. I mean, especially two of the lawyers are from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
They're not coming out
I haven't
here.
heard anything about pro bono.
I
I
don't.
think they're all
I
being paid. I think
No,
they're
but and plus they're raising all this money, so that
yeah,
would be kind of disturbing.
350,000.
I mean, that would be kind of a problem if they're raising
Yeah.
all this
And
money
I
and they're
know that Jackson's running that fund because I've sent money. I've fundraised too. And it's Jackson who responds when you make a contribution. So
there you
it's
go.
Sandy Ross sent 999. She said two things that may be signaling the jury that there's more to the story than either side has been permitted to divulge. The McAlberts still sitting with the O'Keefe family and the judge's weird bias. And this is what I'm worried about. Could this cause the jury this weird bias that Bev seems to have? And also the fact that the McAlbert's pulling the stunt. Could it bias
No,
the jury and make the jury,
I don't know. I mean, the craziness that happened today was out of the presence of the jury, so they don't know. What do they think of the judge? I don't know. They probably laugh because she's cranky and not the warmest person, and I don't think that they would have any reason to sit there and say the judge is being unfair. As far as again, the Vincenzo Pantangeli and Michael Corleone sitting in the audience, in the Senate hearing, and I don't know. I guess this committee this committee owes him an apology, right? That is
yeah.
that what they were trying to do from the Godfather? I don't know. It's weird, and could it give a message to the jury that the O'Keefes are giving the Alberts and McCabe's a pass? Maybe. It's not evidence. They're not supposed to do that, but there's a reason they were there. There's a reason they picked that day. Um, they clearly have no self-awareness. I mean, to do that is just so bizarre. And if nothing else, if you're like me, you at least got a chuckle out of the fact that they did come and they got to hear a lawyer from 5 feet away say what dirtbags you are, and you may very well, according to them, be killers and this and that. So that's got to be awkward and uncomfortable.
How long can the jury go before it's hung?
Well, what would happen is if they believe that they just can't reach a verdict, you get a note. The jury's going to send a note and say, dear judge, we are hopelessly deadlocked and can't whatever. And normally what a judge will do is bring them in and give something called an Allen charge, which is just kind of a pep speech to say, buck up, buttercup, get back in there. You can do this, get through it, share your views, be respectful, work hard. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And if they get another note that says we still can't reach a verdict, then the judge has a difficult decision. She can try to give a second Allen charge, which becomes risky because now you could be creating an appellate issue because, our jurors being pressured to change their mind. But usually if they come back with another note after one of these charges and say, we can't, at that point, most judges would end it. And that's it.
Mm. So it's not even a time thing. It's more of
The
where
judge
the jury
isn't
ends
going
up.
the judge isn't going to sua sponte, just like tell the
Mm.
jury, like, what are you doing? I mean, if they sit quiet for the next 3 days, at that point, you're like, wow, this is getting a little admittedly long, but she's not gonna like bang on the door and say, is everybody okay? I mean, if they don't signal that they need to talk about someone, then they're not gonna do anything. But as far as I know, they've only asked for one piece of evidence at this point, which I think is interesting. So, I don't know if they're just going through their notes,
Mm.
comparing them. Do we have this accurate? Who knows? I mean, nobody knows what they're doing in there.
It's a question, but what happens if someone is up in this type of situation where they're innocent and they don't have a turtle boy supporting them? Is media the only way that you can kind of defeat a case like this?
No, I mean, it helps. I think it certainly brings attention, and anytime you shed light on it, it's a good thing. But you need good lawyers, you need good investigators, and that can be a resource problem for a lot of people. That's true. Not everybody is going to get a legal team like she has. That's just the reality of the situation. I mean, she got really good lawyers and they're dedicated, and look what they've done. And certainly they got a lot of press interest and a lot of helpful information by dogged journalists and all that, and that's good. But at the end of the day, the evidence is going to be what the evidence is or not, and you have to hope that your lawyers. So I would say lawyers are more important in that regard, but good press can help a lot.
There's a question right here. This is the one I want to ask. They're asking about your big case there, the one that you've been fighting for a while. They want to know where it stands right now. How do I
Not
say his name? Say his name.
Juca.
Juca. The
Juca.
Juca case.
It's not in a good position right now. It's gone up and down all over the place, and it's been in. I mean, if you made a flow chart of the courts it's been in and what's happened, I mean, it would look like a mess. It's not done. There's nothing pending right now, but there's more to be done, will be done. But right now, he's serving his sentence, which had been vacated and then was restored.
Was he ever freed when it was vacated, or did he stay in
No,
jail?
he was denied bail when a new trial was ordered, and that is one of the most
Mm.
annoying, aggravating rulings that we've ever experienced. And we actually filed a habeas corpus petition on that, and that was at the time an appellate court said, let's see what happens in a couple of months. Come back. We're not ready to release him, but we will if something doesn't happen. And then by then, the highest court in New York revisited the case and restored the conviction, and it's a mess. But there's a lot more of it that something's going to happen with him, because in that case, 4 witnesses recanted under oath.
Mm.
4. Literally 4 prosecution witnesses signed sworn affidavits recanting their testimony,
Did they
all of
say
which
why? Why did they recant their testimony?
pressured pressured
They
by the
say that
DA.
pressured by the DA?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Threatened with all kinds of things. And all the testimony that they gave was, oh, he said this, he said that, not real evidence. It's a sick case. It's horrible, but
It's
there she
amazing that they
3
do
months ago.
this,
I just
that
saw it.
these stories exist, that people just are innocent and they force the case. They force people to lie. That's what just really is disturbing.
After his conviction was reversed and they were planning on retrying him, so there was a co-defendant in the case, really bad. Did the co-defendant bad kid? They the prosecutors in Brooklyn ran up to the state prison to interview him to try to line him up to testify at a retrial, which is another sign of like the case just got reversed on a jailhouse informant who you lied to the jury about giving
Now you
him
find a new one.
benefits. So they go up to get this guy, and then a funny thing happens, and this guy says, I did it all by myself. He didn't do it.
Amazing.
So they couldn't use him in a retrial. But anyway, there's more work to be done there, and it'll be done.
Good.
I saw Doreen in the chat here. She knows. We talk about it.
I want to see justice for especially the mom, Mother Justice. Doreen is the
There. Yeah.
Doreen.
Speak up, Doreen. Where are you in the chat?
There's so many comments
Oh, I
tonight.
saw her name.
We'll
she's
get
in
her
there
on the show. We're gonna get her on the show.
She's been on a lot. So she's been on 2020, Dr. Phil, local New York stuff. She's been all over the place. So she's not bashful.
Yeah, she's not afraid.
Nope. To tell you the truth, I think obviously the Massachusetts connection is interesting to me, but the more I think about it, I think JUCA is part of the reason why this case infuriates me, because I see so many similarities between that version of the Brooklyn DA's office and this version of the Norfolk DA's office. So the more I think about it, I think there's a connection there, emotionally, that this is like that.
David wants to know what is the best evidence for a juror who's making an argument for a guilty verdict right now.
None, because of the ARCA. I mean, the ARCA kills everything. So, but if we go through this exercise, the ARCA wipes out the taillight, right? So like the taillight on the grass means nothing to me in light of the ARCA. Just like the witnesses said, they're like, that's great, but I didn't need to see it because it doesn't change the calculation. I guess their strongest evidence, in quotes, are these allegations of, did I hit him? I hit him.
That's what Lally led with. That was it.
I guess.
That's it. That's all they have.
You mean it's not leaving your shoes on? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
that was bad.
That's the problem, isn't it? I mean, that's what I can't figure out how they're even. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
hopefully
I mean,
tomorrow. I really kind of expecting tomorrow something's going to happen here. Like by the end of the day, I wouldn't say in the morning, but I'm saying like 4 p.m. I think that's when we'll find out.
Oh, somebody told me today that Wendy Murphy was on Court TV today. Is that true?
Oh my God, I don't know. See, I like I said, when I go to Dedham and back, I'm on like a news blackout because I'm just driving. I spent 4 hours in the car, so it's yeah, I don't know.
There's a clip of Wendy Murphy on Court TV.
We want to see that. We want to see that. Someone said it.
I do.
Do you put the Macarena video up? People were talking about that too.
Well, everyone was talking about it, so I found it, and it's funny.
It is funny. Here's a good question. How much harder would this case have been without the federal data, without the federal TUI?
A lot. So take out the ARCA stuff, right? I mean, that's gone. Do they get their own experts? Maybe. Might they have gotten ARCA? Maybe. But in that situation, these are the so-called paid whore witnesses, right? Doesn't mean that they're not telling the truth, but so you would lose that. You would lose what? The Proctor text, right? All that. Would you have lost any of the Sallyport stuff? I don't know. I'm thinking, was that? No, they got that from the DA
state
recently,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, the state put that out there.
I think it's still a very winnable case, but also don't forget another key component of the federal stuff is all the grand jury testimony. So they got a preview of what these witnesses were going to say, and they got more ammunition to discredit some of them. Higgins embarrassed himself. Jennifer McCabe, remember this whole, I think I hit him. I think I know. She always said I hit him. Well, why did you tell the grand jury 12 times? I think I hit him. It doesn't matter. She said I hit. I mean,
Yeah, there was a lot of those grand juries that they couldn't hold up. I think
the feds turning over the materials helped a lot. And that's also a very large editorial statement by the feds. They don't do that. I've only seen it twice, in DeVecchio, the one I had, and this. It's rare. They don't help Okay. They don't help alleged cop killers. Let's start with that. They are helping an accused murderer of a
Yeah.
police officer. And they're telling the prosecution, you shouldn't be doing this. If that's not enough to make you wake up and smell the coffee, I don't know what would be.
Exactly. That's another reason why I was so in on this. If Canoni continues inappropriate behavior, should she be removed? Well,
No.
I want to go beyond that though, because I want to look at what if there is a retrial? What if there's a hung jury and they try to do a retrial? How likely do you think that it will be Judge Bev Canoni again and uh, Adam Lally again? Do they change that sometimes, or how likely is it? Would it be
Well,
the same two
it would,
people?
unless Canoni retires, is full-time moved to civil. But the reality is she knows the case. And I mean, putting aside what you believe of her temperament,
Yeah,
if you're coming from, the court system, so to speak, it makes sense to leave it with her, even though people like us would say, oh my God, who can deal with this? Um, Lally, my God, if he's still there, I guess the same theory would apply. But I think there has to be at some point somebody in the DA's office or somebody above the DA's office, politicians, a lot of media pressure. At some point that hurts. I don't know how much of this bad press is hurting Morrissey. I mean, he's a delegate, right? He's a state delegate to the Democratic convention with a bunch of very powerful all female delegates. And
I don't
then
think they're going to want to hang out with him
that's what
anymore.
I mean.
Yeah, I don't
I
think the
mean, look,
attorney generals or the governor will get a picture with him.
let's be honest, and this is no need to be politically correct. Let's be honest, okay? He is a fat Irish male, probably or possibly corrupt politician who works and defends the credibility of a state trooper who is a disgusting human being and just an absolute scumbag, misogynist, probably corrupt, who's going to hang out with the other, Democrat delegates who don't look like him, are all female. That's not a good look, right? I mean, he doesn't exactly check off a lot of boxes these days that make him a very attractive, both literally and figuratively, an attractive candidate to be hanging out with the movers and
Anybody.
shakers. Right.
Nobody
So
wants to hang out with him
I
now. I
expect
guarantee.
I expect he'll be marginalized anyway. Um, and I expect if he attempts to run for office again, as a
It's
way
going to
to
be
kind of
tough.
like, well, he may be trying to like avoid getting in trouble. It's
Yeah,
some people think it's like the Trump theory. If I get back in office, I'm fine. I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe he has that thought too. But the reality is when he runs again, he's not going to win.
yeah. No way.
There's no
And he's
way.
gonna have. And he'll have people showing up at every fundraiser,
Yeah,
every event.
he'll win the Canton vote, maybe,
Yeah, he
but
might win
you
some McAlberts,
right.
maybe,
Other
but I
than
don't
that,
even think he'll
I
win
mean,
Canton. Yeah,
and he must know this.
yeah. He definitely knows it.
He
I
must know.
guarantee he's not running again.
I mean, if I were him, I'd be more worried about again other entanglements with other
Exactly.
agencies.
That I think the only way he runs again is what you said, is that Trump thing where he thinks it
Yeah,
might help him stay out of trouble, but that's it. Like, otherwise, this guy's run for reelection his whole life. These guys know when it's time to stop running, and this is it. Like, and it doesn't usually happen for them until they die, but this is like one of those times when it's better for him not to run, but it might be like you said, if he wins, then but I think he knows he can't win. I mean,
no,
this is
he's not going to win. I mean,
yeah,
I don't
so
think he. I mean, who the hell would vote for this
yeah,
guy?
no
I mean,
way.
seriously,
No way.
look at what's going on, and they are condoning the activities of these state troopers. They knew about it and
Yeah.
had no problem. And I mean, you saw it yesterday with Lally. Uh, a personal phone that was a safe space.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
Are
me?
you
That
kidding me? Yeah. That would be
he's
so
still
easy to run against right
he's
now.
still defending it,
Uh,
even as he's trying to apologize for it. He can't help himself and still defend it. It was a safe space. That was pathetic.
not good.
No,
When
That's
50% plus of voters are women, especially the Democratic
yeah.
Party, it's even more. So, does the jury understand the ARCA report means no collision occurred? What do you
Well,
think on that one? It's kind of complicated. Maybe
I
they
wouldn't
didn't
say it,
understand it.
I wouldn't phrase it I mean, it's not the report that's evidence, it's the
It's the
testimony of
testimony. Yeah.
the two doctors who are from ARCA and blah blah blah. Um, how could they not know? I mean, these guys were pretty clear, and of course, in leading with his chin on cross examination, they were even more clear on cross because it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I found it quite compelling and jarring when he's trying to throw taillight pieces and DNA and all this other stuff that might make a non-believer in science say, "Well, oh yeah, that I wish I knew that." And these guys were like, "I don't care. I don't care. Like the science is what it is." And to me, I mean, that's real powerful. But again, I thought they would lead with that. I thought they would have clubbed the jury right out of the gate in the head
With
with
that.
that, because I think that's the demoralizing fact of facts. That is the game changer, and they had nothing to counter that. You know, as opposed to the Google search, it's kind of a question between the experts and all that. But it was the Acura versus Trooper Paul, which is not really a competition, obviously.
We've had several questions about the ARCA report now. Some people want to know about the feds, why the jury wasn't told about the feds. And another question is, do you think the jury has figured out that the ARCA report came from the feds?
Yeah, they're not told because the theory is if they think that the feds are doing their own investigation, it's going to be far too unfair to the DA. And I'm not even saying that's wrong. I mean, if the jury were to hear that the feds are investigating the police and or prosecutors, yeah, that's a big deal. So you come up with this kind of silly other agency thing, but at least a few of these dopes have already blurted out it's the FBI. So the second part of the question, do I think the jury knows it's the FBI? Of course. How could they not? What other agency is commissioning accident reconstruction when you heard that some of these guys were contacted by the FBI and testified?
How would you
So
pick a
yes,
jury for retrial?
God, if
Hmm.
it came to that, my God, you know, you would be very against people from Canton, even though that sounds judgmental. It's the reality, you know, just what it is. I mean, I don't know why it would be any different. The problem with a retrial is the jurors who would be sitting on the case at a retrial are probably in the chat right now, either here or somewhere else. Everyone in Norfolk County has heard of this. And what I might do is seek a change of venue if you're someone. Now, the defense may not want that because Norfolk County is, you know, everyone knows it, but that would assure you getting out of Canton and all of that. And it would guarantee you, like Charles Barkley, that the likelihood of picking jurors who don't care about the Alberts, don't care about the Canton incestuous garbage, you get rid of all that. So if I were the defense, I would move for a change of venue, which would have to be in Massachusetts, and it would have to be a county that is at least remotely similar. Now, the other thing is everything's so geographically close, and it's still the same media market. So I don't know how much better it gets, but the farther away you get from Canton, the better. So, you know, it would probably be something like, you know, Middlesex, Worcester, something like that, or maybe up north.
I guess they like what Mazza was saying earlier today and what you're saying now, Mark, about turning anger and anxiety over Karen Reed to motivation.
Yeah. But I mean, right. I mean, but that's right now you're in
Tough
that
to
helpless phase because there's
Yeah,
nothing you can do.
exactly.
You're not going to go beat up the jury and say, do the right thing. I mean, you're literally in the
That
hopeless,
that's why when you asked me, "Do you wanna do a
helpless,
show
not
tonight?"
hopeless.
When
What's that?
that's why when you ask me, do you want to do a show tonight, even if it's late, I'm like, yes, because I don't know what else to do. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, it's like anxiety. So I'm just like, let's do a
Yeah,
show, and then I'll go to bed.
exactly. But I mean, there's nothing you can do right now.
Yeah.
It's literally nothing you can do but wait for 12 people you've never met in your life and have a woman's fate entirely in their hands. It's scary.
Now they're saying you're upsetting the Irish community. I'm Irish
What
American,
did I do?
supposedly like third generation. I'm not upset.
What did I do?
I don't think you did anything.
Why? Because
I
I
think
called
you talked
Maris.
about Morrissey being an
I
Irish
never
guy
said
or
he was
something.
Irish. I said
All
he
right.
was fat, possibly corrupt,
No,
and
I'm not mad
not.
about it.
No, I don't think I said anything about
No,
Irish.
no. People get too edgy, especially
Maybe
in
that was a joke.
Boston.
Maybe that's a
The
joke.
Irish get like I'm one of you Irish folks from
Hey,
Boston, and we get very caught up. Like anytime I say anything about the Roman Catholic Church, they get very upset. It's like,
hey,
come on,
they named
come
their
on.
basketball team the Celtics for a
I
reason.
know, I get it, but geez, I'm one of you, and they get mad at me.
I don't, maybe that's a joke. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
serious.
it could be a joke. It could be.
I think
But
it
I've
is.
I've had some people get very mad. Like they get, I don't know what it is. What is this one about? This is a long one. Is this a question? I'm trying to read it.
Oh, the Berkowitz thing.
Yeah. Have you seen that video about the Berkowitz retirement party? You've heard about it.
Yeah, about them like cracking beers on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The bo-
I did. I really wish that somebody ever found the video where Higgins was making
yeah.
jokes about, he's the guy to help bury the bodies. I still don't know how Berkowitz escaped being a witness, but I guess someday we'll
He's
find
gonna,
out.
but maybe he'll see some federal stage time.
Well, they say he's very ill, so maybe,
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he lucks out.
yeah.
Someone said Morrissey never has an opposing candidate running against him. That's true, but he will this time.
Well,
I
they
guarantee
will,
you.
and he'll be primaried. It has nothing to do
There's
with
probably going to be like 5 people running
even
against
if
him.
it's even if it's like a one party jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Somebody there,
Yeah.
no question, people are going to run
People
against
will
him.
vote Republican and a Democrat.
I
I'm
mean,
telling you, people would
what
vote for the Republican
they
over
would.
him.
No,
They would.
party means
No, they
nothing
would.
here. All you'd
A
have to do
Republican
is
could defeat him. Yep.
you just have to say two things: Karen Reed and
Yeah.
what is it? Sandra Birchmore? Is it? Did I
Yeah.
say that
I
right?
just say, and Michael Proctor. You
And Michael
defended
Clark
this guy? You defended what he
works in
said
the
here?
DA's office. I think
Yeah.
people are like underestimating the significance that this crew of goons from the state troopers works out of the DA's office.
Exactly.
They're literally encamped in the DA's office. Literally, they go to work at the DA's office, right?
He's their boss, basically, in a weird
Yep.
way.
Yeah,
Why do you think the judge had a change of heart about the verdict slip? Someone
because
call her? What do you think?
she was wrong, and somebody told her you're going to risk an appellate issue after all this time, and they have a valid point. And why wouldn't you fix it? I mean, again, her first position was obstinate just for the sake of because I can be, because I'm the judge. But I think it was also insecurity. He was right. She didn't want to hear it. She was tired, as she said. And I think she felt embarrassed because he was kind of like making a big deal. And her natural reaction the first time was like, I don't care. I'm not doing it this way. Oh, when I called him that about Irish, what I was saying is it's not me disparaging Ms. Irish. I was saying he doesn't fit in with the other delegates who are going to find him to be a liability because he's so traditional, dated
He's old
Massachusetts.
school. It's true.
Right,
It's true. Yeah,
right.
you're
That's
right.
what I meant by that.
I've been involved in the politics, and it's kind of there's a changing face to it. And
Yeah,
he
that's what I meant.
represents the old school. There's no doubt
Right.
about it.
So if I
Which
did
are
say
starting to
Irish,
die off.
that's what I
Yeah.
meant. Sorry.
Yeah, like Marty Walsh, and now it's Woo. It's a different brand. It's not the
Right.
same thing as what it used to be.
Right.
There's some other there's something about Turtle Boy here. They keep wanting to talk about STS tonight. I think that's what someone said. Turtle Boy wanted to talk because STS saying he deserved to be assaulted in Canton. Joel is wrong most of the time, but joking about it is crossing the line. I didn't hear it. If he did that, that was stupid.
I
But
mean, obviously, he doesn't deserve to be assaulted. I don't know
exactly,
what was said or not, but I mean, nobody
exactly.
deserves to be assaulted.
I heard some people criticizing Turtle Boy for showing up there, but you know what? Like he went to the restaurant and ate dinner next door, and he was leaving.
Well, the
Like
problem
he has every right to be there. Like that's
does, and
yeah,
this is why the case against him, to me, is whatever you think of him, is a bad idea because it's not just that he ate there. He went there in a journalistic capacity, whether you approve of
exactly.
him or not, to test the hills on the phones and do a determination as to whether was it Guarino or whatever his name is, whether that testimony made sense. That's actually real journalism, whether you like him or not. And then they went to go eat at the waterfall. I get it. And is it a little, from the other side? Is that poking him and whatever? Maybe, but it's a free country, and that's a journalisting. I mean, I don't. And
Yeah,
if they go crazy and attack him, then that's on them, and it is what it is. But that's why if you go after him and you're giving him a First Amendment defense, I don't understand why any prosecutor would die on that hill and go after him for getting in people's faces, whether it's obnoxious or not, if he's journalisting.
so now I know why people are mad at STS. So I mean, this is why now we know. Oh, it's about Turtle Boy. I get it. I totally get it. I guess Siobhan said it was a
I know.
joke.
I
Yeah,
figured it was. It's fine.
I was the one who didn't get it. It's because I'm a little bit I don't know. I'm just sensitive about it because this has happened before. People flipping out when I mention Irish Catholic stuff. They get very upset. Yeah, there it is. Totally a joke. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah. Can I add to the joke and say we're being told it's a joke by somebody named Shaban? I mean, that's kind of funny, right?
It is funny. Um, I'm just looking for more because I know I missed some questions here. I'm just looking through the scroll. I don't think people get upset at me too because I missed some of them. We got 181. Do you know how hard it is to even scroll back on this thing? It's not like the easiest setup, believe me. Here's one. How could the FBI knowingly allow a woman to be destroyed by this? They know she is innocent. If the jury comes back, it takes years to go through an appeal. Why wouldn't the FBI step in now?
Well, I told you in the beginning. First of all, I still don't think she's going to get convicted, so that doesn't change. But we talked about something similar to this before, and I said it would be troubling if the FBI was kind of holding back, kind of just waiting for the trial and developing evidence. I don't think they would do that. I just, it's hard. Now, don't get all, why do you trust the FBI? In this instance, I don't think if they're investigating corruption in the state police, the DA's office, tentacles out to the Alberts, whatever, Higgins, I don't think they would just literally say, we're going to let a show trial go forward because we're going to get more evidence to use. It's hard for me to believe that that would happen because I think that would be morally wrong. Um, if they have hardcore evidence that would really help her that you're not aware of, I mean, like worse than the ARCA report, which I don't know if they do or don't. If she got convicted, I think they would have a real hard decision in terms of protecting an investigation and having an innocent woman rotting in state prison. So that's an unpleasant thing to think about, but the reality is I think the feds are probably as confident as the defense that that's a problem they're never going to have to address because it's never going to happen. But it would be bad if it did.
Any thoughts about the timing of the announcement of reopening Sandra Birchmore case as homicide? It basically the AG took it over from the district attorney in Norfolk County.
Um,
Do you read anything into that? Do you think the feds might be investigating or
well,
could be?
in terms of reopening, the article I read, and I don't know this case that well. It
Yep.
sounds disturbing what little I've read, but I have no real opinion. But what I read was that her family engaged Michael Bodden, who is still doing this. It's unbelievable. Um, and the family hired an expert and got an opinion. That's not reopening a case. That is a party in a civil lawsuit got a favorable opinion that they're waving around. So if in terms of it being reopened as a homicide, that wouldn't come from Baden and the family. That would require if the AG is looking into it or whoever. So
Correct. Yeah,
I
I don't know
I
that
don't
the
know that that's
AG.
accurate.
Yeah, I don't know the AG has looked into it as a homicide, but they did take over the case, whatever that
Right.
may mean. I'm just,
But
yeah, wonder about that part of
so
it.
the source of this information in the media is the Birchmore family or whoever's representing her estate, whoever. They hired Baden and got the opinion. So
They have a
they're
civil suit going too.
right. So they're the ones who released this. So the next part of the question is that timing a coincidence? Absolutely not. Because they hate the Norfolk DA as well. They hate some of the same cops that are involved. And they gave them a real shit sandwich in the right as the jury's about to deliberate in another case. So the timing is totally related.
And what
That's no
about the fact, what would you think about the fact that the AG took over Sandra Birchmore? Like, is that unusual? Seems
yeah.
unusual to me, and I'm just wondering, like, why? Why do you think that she took it over?
Well, it could be a conflict. It could be she has no confidence. It could be different policies. Like in New York, they passed some policies a couple of years ago where any police shooting case, not police victim, I mean police shooting someone, where the issue becomes was it justified or not, or a police violence against someone, got taken away from the local DA and given to the New York Attorney General, no matter what. Just that's the rule. Now, is that the case in Massachusetts? I don't know. If it's not the case and it got taken away, then that makes you scratch your head and say, why are they doing that?
Awesome. I think that's most of the questions. I'm trying to go back because I know I missed some, but it's hard to get back to them. Here's one. Why the emphasis on Karen's Lexus console?
I
Did
don't
we ever
know.
figure that out? I
I
mean,
don't know. That was the day I was there when they were
yeah.
doing like kind of the voir dire on all that stuff. And it was, you know, when you put the car in reverse, do you see the camera? Is there a warning light? And I think it's all part of the trying to show that if she was driving in reverse, that she had to be aware. You could see like on the screen, the navigation screen, you could see behind you, and it makes a noise if you're going to hit something. And so I guess the implication is she just ignored it. Of course, none of this really seems to matter if Trooper Paul can't do the math and match the keystrokes to or key cycles, whatever you call them. And, they kind of have a proof problem with when the 24 miles an hour occurred in reverse. And then they tried to match it to the mileage, but that's kind of speculative. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. So, that doesn't fit. I mean, actually, I would tell you this. You asked earlier, what would the strongest piece of evidence be? If they could conclusively, and they didn't, so it's not the strongest, but if they could literally match the 25 miles an hour approximately in reverse to the exact time, when they claim that John O'Keefe got hit, and they could put her at Fairview Road, I would say in that situation, even though it wouldn't be enough because of the science, that would be their strongest evidence. But I don't think they did a good job with that. I think they screwed up the numbering. And if I remember correctly, I thought the defense did a pretty good job showing that at the time of that speed, it was in the police custody by process of elimination. When you count the trips, the cops already had the car.
It's a good question. Mike, after Karen is found not guilty, I think we'd all love to see you here. Have Sean McDonough on with Mark and Mazza. Sean clearly has some federal moles, been spot on. I would love that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely going to
talked to
work
him
out with
today,
them.
as I told you, for a little bit, and I know guys like him. I know like retired feds, and yeah,
He
I
is
love
something
talking.
else. I
Yeah, no,
love
no,
him.
I know these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's good, easy guy to talk to, and
He's so much fun too. I
has
love him. He plays music too. He's a musician.
Oh, but
He's
he's
very
got a that's interesting. What does he
yeah.
play?
I think guitar. I know he's
Oh,
got some guitars behind him sometimes. He also, was a good athlete too in high school at Canton High School. He's a good football player. Track I think it was a shot put he did, or was it javelin? One of those ones that I never yeah. He's
but he knows how the feds work.
oh, totally.
So we had a nice conversation about that kind of stuff, and
I
so
bet.
yeah, no, I
He
enjoyed it. It
probably
was
was amped up. Were you on his show or was it behind the scenes
no,
preparing?
he sent me a thing for something he was doing today, and I said if I have time at lunch, because
So you
again,
jumped on his show today.
yeah, for like 30 minutes, just
So
during the lunch
there you
break.
go. LT33. You kinda had the Bederow Sean today. If you didn't see it, you go look at Sean. I know you follow him, so check out Sean's latest because Attorney Bederow was on there, and I'll definitely try to have Sean on with Attorney Bederow. I've been wanting to have that happen, but all of us are so busy. It's hard to
He
plan
he,
anything. Yeah.
he invited me to his thing yesterday that he had a lot of people that
Yeah, I
him.
was on that. I didn't even
Yeah, no,
expect to be
I
on
couldn't,
it.
but I couldn't
Did
get
you
away. I
I
kind of
know.
missed that. Yeah, that I couldn't get on. I just
I was psyched. I finally got on Sean's show
I
yesterday.
was trapped in Queens. That was depressing. It's
Kelly
so
Reed
fun.
made that happen, actually. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, it was fun yesterday. Um, and LT, I know he is law enforcement too. It's funny how we have a lot of
Yeah,
law
we've been over
enforcement
this.
guys.
I know who he is.
Yeah, I do
We
too.
worked together 100 years ago.
With LT?
Yeah.
No, are you thinking he's from New York?
I if it's who I think it is,
No,
and
it's not. Because I know this guy. He's not unless he worked in New York too. Yeah, I know he's a mass guy.
then I have him I know someone, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
I
different guy.
me LT33 had specific meaning. So,
It's
but if I'm
funny.
wrong, okay.
Because he hit me up and he said, "No, no, 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 you know me from here." uh, Heidi says, "Mark, Alita 29 in Broadway. Come September, it's on me."
It's not
I don't
far
know.
from where I used to live a long time ago on 22nd and Broadway, actually, years ago.
Let's go to this one. Mark, can you give us, if it happens hypothetically, what the time of each guilty sentence would carry?
I don't know the exact Massachusetts sentencing off the top of my head, but if she's convicted of murder, you should prepare for something life or close to it. It's bad. I mean, if you're convicted of murder, you get punished. It's bad.
And here's a question to give about the jury foreman. I think we kind of answered this already. I mean, it's unusual, isn't this? It is unusual, isn't it?
I've never seen it, but it's not how we do it where I am. But I don't know where other places, but I've never heard in any other jurisdiction doing it this way.
There's a question about Jackson and Yannetti. Why did they wait till closing arguments to show Karen's cracked, not shattered taillight on the ring video?
Well, they can consider, first of all, the last sentence of that, they can consider evidence during closing. The summation itself is not evidence. So what the lawyers say is argument. It's not evidence. But you can use the evidence in your summation. My guess is that they saved this for summation to guarantee that they had control over it, meaning there's no cross examination. There's no having to listen to any cop explain or try to explain something different. It's a controlled environment. He gets to say what he wants, point out what he wants without any pushback. I think that's a good, in certain situations, a good strategic thing to do because it was already in evidence. So it was there.
Why AJ asked Colin Albert about the forest behind 34 Fairview?
I think they were trying to do this idea that Colin ran to the school and Allie picked him up at the school because of the Life 360. Isn't that why? Because she was on the chart as going by the
Mm.
school. I think that's what they were trying to do. But, realistically, didn't Colin kind of fade away as a big deal as it went on? I mean, I think they kind of let that fade away a little bit.
The question about the alternates, did they let them go? They didn't let them go. They're still there.
Usually what you do is, it's a discussion amongst the lawyers in the court. Do you want to release the alternates or not? Most cases, at least in New York, you release the alternates because you're not expecting crazy deliberations. Case like this, no way they would
Yeah,
release the
no,
alternate.
the alternate. I saw the instruction, and she said they'll be in a separate room. Blah blah
It
blah. She
sucks for them
so
because now
that's
they're
the
isolated. And
yeah.
now, how many alternates are left? Two?
I think I don't know. I thought there were 4, but there were at
Well,
least a
whatever the
couple.
number is, now they have to hang out separate and apart from their other buddies on the jury and
Exactly.
just sit around and do nothing. The jurors are deliberating. The alternates are twiddling their thumbs. That sucks
Yeah.
to be an alternate and not get into the game.
Is a former North Andover patrolman asking a question again. He says, if FBI did end up charging and ultimately convicting McAlberts, could be a death penalty case for leaving John out in the snow to die. In other words, murder, depraved indifference, federal level.
No,
Think about that.
no.
No?
I mean, first of all, murder in a traditional sense isn't even a federal crime. Um, and even if they were convicted of causing John O'Keefe's death, even on a level of murder, I don't think the Justice Department in Washington would treat this as a death penalty case. I mean, they save that for terrorists and whatnot, or like just hideous, like the guy who it was on the table for that lunatic who shot up the Buffalo supermarket, the mass shootings, that horrible kind of stuff. Brian Albert, even if he was ever convicted, which he may never be, I don't know what he did or didn't do, but he would never get no, that would never happen.
Um, Final thoughts tonight. Any final thoughts?
Just chill. It's normal. The time. It's really not. I thought it would be done, but it doesn't mean anything. They're not. That's all it means. And it's still well within the normal time period for this. It was a very long, lengthy case. And as far as I know, they've only even sent one note, which is not even that much. It's not like they're going crazy in there. So let them work through it, reach a verdict, hopefully. And if there is a verdict, it can't possibly be guilty, can it? I mean, 12 out of 12 guilty in this evidence? No. So give it a couple days.
Give it a couple days. And if it is a hung jury, a question came in. Mark, if it's a hung jury and Jackson can't do it, has to step away, would you take his place if asked?
Well, yeah, but that's silly. He wouldn't do that. Lawyers like that don't leave people in the lurch. She's well taken care of with good lawyers, and I would be shocked and stunned. God forbid they have to do it again. That they don't. Of course, they're going to do it again. They're not going to leave her now. So yeah, no, they don't want that. She doesn't want that. Nobody wants that, but they would never leave her in the battlefield alone. No way. Look what they've been
Awesome.
through together already.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been through it's unbelievable what they've been through together, the 4 of them.
I mean,
Yeah,
the hard part, just
uh,
real quick, the hard part, if they had to do it again, is you're not from here, and you have to
flying back and forth. Yeah.
live out here for a trial and leave your family behind.
And he's got a young child, so that's
that's
yeah.
that's tough.
And his
Yeah.
wife's back in California. She was I met her. She was great. I liked her a lot. But yeah, she was just out for like one night to see his clothes and going right back because they have a young child.
Yeah. It's always, I mean, to some degree, it's always a disadvantage when you have a road game. I mean, it's just, it's not your comfort zone. It's not your people. It's not your culture. I mean, like, I'm only going to a certain borough in New York City, but like the trial I'm doing right now is absolutely a road game. I mean, it's not my place. I don't like it.
Where's your normal home game? Like, where's your
Manhattan.
favorite
Man,
Manhattan? Yeah.
I would always, I mean, that's where I started. It's where most of my stuff is. That's my culture, like as a
You
lawyer.
know them.
No,
Yeah.
you go and you do it. And it's not like difficult, but just it's not. I mean, there's nowhere to eat. Little things like that.
Yeah.
You have nowhere to go, so you just sit there. When you go to a place like Lower Manhattan, there's Little Italy, Chinatown, Tribeca, all these places.
Def the little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the little things. The courthouse tends to be windowless. It's awful. I mean,
Mm.
it's just dark and grimy and depressing.
You sound like you're being tortured right now. It's so funny when you said that yesterday. You're like,
Not a
"You
pleasant
guys have
experience.
fun," and
Be out
and
there
I'm
for
in.
7 weeks.
Yeah,
It's not pleasant,
yeah.
but,
Well, hopefully you get your win on this one because it's bugging me from what I'm hearing what they're doing to the wife there.
well, it's
It's not
bad,
cool.
and you complain as a coping mechanism, but then last Godfather 2 reference of the night, this is the business we have chosen, it's
Yeah.
the Hyman Roth quote, and that's what you
What
do.
else would you do, right? What else would you do?
I'm not qualified to do anything else.
There
So,
you go. You're good at it. So
you
you
know,
found your calling. I love it.
I'm not really equipped to do literally anything else. So it's either this or like lie on the couch. So
Are you
not that I
you,
wouldn't like to do that, but that would be tough to pay the bills
and you probably get bored after a while. Would you? Do you think you get bored lying on the couch? I would.
eventually.
I
But
like it for a few days, and then
I,
it's like,
I
I
would
gotta get out and do
really like
something.
it for a few days right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I am very much looking forward tomorrow. When the summation ends. We're going out to our lunch spot in the village, and I'm very much looking forward to
Tell
that.
her if she wants to come on, I'd have her on too. I like Mother
Now she's
Justice, and I
not
like
that.
this. Yeah. Okay.
Now
She wants to keep it low. She wants to just get over with, and yeah,
it's a really unpleasant
I
experience for
can't
her.
imagine.
It's horrible, but the two lawyers, I have a lawyer that is helping out, and we're gonna just go to the spot and chill out, and then
Good.
hopefully sit on the couch for a couple days.
There you go. I hope you enjoy it, and hopefully we have a celebration coming up too on this.
Yeah, that would be good timing if if the good guys win both of those. And
I got one more question. Why did you decide to practice in New York instead of Massachusetts?
because when I left or was planning to leave law school, I wanted to be a prosecutor. And if you want to be a prosecutor, Manhattan is the best. The best. Some people disagree these days, but that's law and order.
That's
So,
it. Yeah, that's the show right there.
shocking. When I grew up I despise everything about New York City. And if you would have told me that someone there and working there, I would have laughed at that. I would never really. But now that was 25 years ago, and I'm still here. So
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us again for another late night, 2 hours and 15 minutes this time. Thank you so much, Attorney Mark Bederow. And good luck in court for
thank you.
your, what do we call this? The summation, the summary,
Yeah, closing argument, same
closing
thing.
arguments.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope you win this one.
And then the verdict will be sometime next week.
Best of luck. Best of luck to your
Thank you.
client, and we'll talk soon.
Great. Take care.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye now. Awesome. What another great show. He started to break up a little bit there, so sorry I didn't get all your questions answered, but I had him 2 hours plus. He answered a lot of questions. I know people get mad when their questions don't get answered, but guys have to realize 206 super chats and all the other questions too that people have that when they're not super chatting, it's hard. I don't even see half the comments when he comes on because it just gets to be so much. And I did put it on the, what do we call that? When you slow it down? I don't know if that worked tonight. My tech seems to be acting up actually. I don't know what's going on. Nick Rocco, who's very close to the Karen Reed family, he's raised a lot of money. He says, I can't see the jury going past the weekend. I hope not, Nick. I want to know if Nick Rocco was in a suit and tie again today. It was so hot out. Poor Nick's wearing the full suit and tie. He's a warrior. Shirley says, Mark, how is your confidence? I have so much anxiety. Mike, how are you? We did talk about that. We feel pretty good. Thank you so much, Shirley, for the donation. Gina G sent $2. Lally couldn't close the door, let alone a court case. And just to get back to Shirley too, I think we all just need to take a deep breath and not worry about what we don't know yet. So let's just see what happens and focus on what we can control, which is just keep your head up, keep positive, and wait for tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. Rick says even though it's only going into day 3. It's only been 7 to 8 hours of deliberation. So it's true. It's only been, considering how much they have to go through, it's really not that long. I think it may come tomorrow afternoon. I just have a funny feeling. The first day I may not go. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Someone said if Chloe could only talk. Yeah, I don't know where Chloe is. I want to thank everybody who's been supporting us, sending love. We got over 10,000 tonight live. We broke 30,000 on YouTube tonight. Subscribers. Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone who's been supporting us. Thank you to our moderators, especially. Who are probably mad at me because I don't think it slowed down tonight. I kept hitting it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I've been slowing the chat. I don't know what's going on with my tech lately. All right, let me check the Venmo. I saw some Venmos come in. Let me check that quickly. All right. Lisa said $5. She says, "Hi, Mike. Another great show tonight with attorney Mark Bederow. Appreciate all the time and work you guys put in for the cause of justice for Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. Hope we're all celebrating her victory and exoneration sometime tomorrow. God bless Lisa. Free Karen Reed." Thank you so much, Lisa. I 100% agree with everything you wrote. Stacy says 2 questions for Mark. Did he hang out at Ebenezer's in Framingham in his younger years? I'll have to ask him about that. I know about Ebenezer's because when I was a high school wrestler, we used to stay in Framingham right there at the Days Inn for the state tournament. If you qualified, you got to stay. I got to stay both years, so it was pretty cool. I know about Ebenezer's. We stayed right next to Ebenezer's. That's where our coaches went, actually. What type of sentences would come if they found her guilty on any of these counts? And why do you think feds haven't offered someone a deal to tell? I don't know. Yeah, we answered that second one. We really don't know about how much time. Could be lifetime if it's murder, though. Laurie sent $50. She said, "Free Karen Reed, thank you." Thank you so much, Laurie. That's very generous of you. And Allie sent $5 on Venmo, and we did answer her question about the mental health earlier. Thank you so much, Allie. All right. And I know I got some cash apps. I just saw a cash app come in. Oh, Caroline, who I met. She's wicked cute. Thank you, Caroline. She said $10. She said, "Great meeting you yesterday, Mike. Free Karen Reed." It was great meeting you too, Caroline. Thank you so much. I hope you got one of my bumper stickers. I think I got you one. I did run out of those, unfortunately. I brought a few more today, and I pretty much ran out of those too. I think I'm done. I think I'm going to be ordering all kinds of stuff, some new gear. Salon sent $20. She says, "Thank you. Great work." Thank you so much, Salon. Teresa sent $25. She said, "Thank you, Mike and attorney Bederow. Free Karen Reed." And Kerry sent 20. She said, "Please get Mr. Delgado on a live." I don't know if I can. The guy's language is, it's like, dude, how many times you got to say the N-word on my streams? Every time he does that, it demonetizes us, gives us strikes. It's like, dude, why can't you just say, "You called me the N-word"? Why do you have to actually say it over and over again? I'm just saying. $25 for great content, Julie sends. Thank you so much, Julie. Tracy sent $10. She said, "For the effing audacity." She also sent another 20. She said, "What the F," as in the corruption could not get worse. Thank you so much, Tracy. Wow, you guys are very generous to us tonight. Thank you so much. It's amazing. I never expected this. This is wild to get this much support, this much love. We can't even keep up with the super chats. Someone was complaining watching the replays, and you focus too much on the super chats. What do you want me to do? I mean, if I don't post them, people get angry. It's a weird. Maybe I need to turn them off. I don't know. It's like we're too successful. We are too successful over here. Such a problem. They're like the other shows don't get as many super chats. Yeah, I know. It's weird, right? Thank you so much. Peace to all while we wait for my sister's verdict. That's Liz. Wow. That is Karen's sister. Wow. Thank you so much, Liz. Liz Reed is watching tonight. Wow. Think about that. That's your sister right there. You're watching your sister. You don't know what's going to happen. Her life is at stake here, and you know she's innocent. Mm. That's why I keep going live every single night. It's like, and I feel like we did our job because so many people were there today, yesterday. Turtle Boy did his job. All of us, Sean McDonough, Melanie Little. There's been so many of us. LTL. Who else has been there? Tom CPU. There's been a lot of us who have been there. The Broken Baker from like the beginning. Not like there's there's some folks that are covering it now they weren't there when it was tough. I know, Michelle. This is the problem. How could anyone think the Commonwealth proved their case at this point? A frame job would seem far fetched, but scientific facts are just that, facts. That's the reality. That's what brought me back to this. Even my partner, who was like middle of the road, whatever they call her, a fence sitter. She was like, "Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait to court. Let's see what happens." And then this week, I asked her, I said, "So what do you think?" And she's like, "Not guilty." She got there, and it's exactly what the reason about the defense experts. I mean, and the fact that the prosecution didn't prove the case at all. You put two and two together. Even the fence sitters, most of the fence sitters have now come to the conclusion that she's innocent. Someone said I look mighty handsome with my new look. Oh my God. That's so funny. Thank you so much, Maureen. I look very handsome now that I'm cleaned up and I'm not a Neanderthal with hair sticking out everywhere. I'll have to shave more often. All right. I want to thank everyone. 215 super chats tonight. It's amazing. That's a record. And I especially want to thank you. We got over 10,000 live viewers tonight. We're over 11,000. That's amazing. Huge. So I'm not sure I'm going to go to court tomorrow. It's such a long haul, and just to get there like a half hour, I don't know if it's worth it for me. I may just cover it. I may just stream it during the day from home here. I think I may actually do more for people who are watching at home by just being at home. So, especially with the state police harassing the shit out of me, I don't want to be the guy that gets all mouthy with them and gets arrested. The Karen Reed thing, because that's what I felt like yesterday. I was getting literally pissed off, and I'm not that guy. I think most of you know I stay out of trouble. But I was pissed yesterday, the way they were treating us. All right. I will see everyone tomorrow. We're going to continue the jury watch, the verdict watch. And if you haven't followed us on Facebook, follow us on X at The Young Jerks. And YouTube, if you're watching for the first time, please subscribe. Like half the people who watch have never subscribed before. I walked by someone today at court and they say, I watch always, but I never subscribe. I'm going to subscribe tonight because you showed up. I guess that's what it took. But if you're watching like every night, please just hit that subscription button. It helps us. We're at 30,000 subs. It's amazing. If you hit that subscription button, you're more likely not to miss any of our great content that we have. I want to thank Rita Lombardi, who I just posted a little quick interview I did with her today. Hopefully, there's also going to be some other video of Jessica, who was one of the Canton Nine, who was harassed by, again, another person harassed by the Mass State Police. I'm hopefully going to post a little YouTube content of her. I talked to her today. It was tough doing those little interviews because of the sound. We were trying to hide, and it was just the wind and the helicopters and the audience, the crowd. It was hard to do that, but hopefully the audio is good enough for people. I'm just checking the live comments now. I guess one last thing I want to know for anyone who's still watching. Tell us where you're watching from. I want to know where you're watching from. Someone said, get Jen O'Donnell, please, Mike. I adore that lady. I can get her back on the show. She was there today, actually. Yeah, everyone hit the like button on the way out and subscribe if you haven't. I want to know where you're watching from, though. Like, are you watching, San Francisco, Lowell, Canton? I love Canton. Auburn, Missouri Gulf Coast, or is that the Mississippi Gulf Coast? No, that's Missouri. North Carolina, Spokane, Washington, Kansas City, Weymouth, Canton, Brookfield, Connecticut, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Phoenix, Arizona, Jacksonville, Florida, DeLand, Florida, Wittensville, Mass. I never heard of that one. Brockton, Mass. Roscoe, Illinois, New Hampshire, Kansas City, Missouri, Methuen, Mass. I know Methuen very well. Houston, Texas, Sandpoint, Idaho, Minnesota, Brooklyn. God bless me. Oh, I just sneezed 3 times. Is that good luck or bad luck? Toronto, Rhode Island, Atlanta, Clearwater Springs, Colorado. Good wrestling out there. Medford, Beffa, Toledo, Ohio, Tacoma, Washington. I've been there. Love Tacoma. Yes, thank you. God bless me. Wisconsin, St. Louis. It's amazing. Plymouth, Mass, Houston, Texas. I've been to Houston on AIG's dime. That was where their headquarters were. We used to go to AIG a lot. Houston a lot. Philadelphia, San Diego, Charlotte. What was that? Wait. Charlestown, Mass. Franklin, Mass. North Dakota, Louisiana. See, this is so crazy for me. Salem, Mass. You're on the North Shore. I love that. North Shore like me. It's so crazy to see people who are not from Massachusetts, all the people following this. When we started out, it was just pretty much a Massachusetts show. Now, all over the world. We got Ethiopia in the house tonight. Wow. Ethiopia. Bella, how did you find this case in Ethiopia? I'm surprised. Norwich, Connecticut, Nashville, Sacramento, California, Northborough, Berkeley, Mass, Long Island, Pennsylvania. I want to know if there's any Danvers people out there tonight where a lot of my family grew up. Chile, any Chile? Yeah, Chile. We got Chile here in the house. Louisville, Kentucky. Wow. Bluegrass State. Scottsdale, Arizona, Fairfax, Virginia. You're right outside DC, Providence, Illinois, Clinton, Mass. Wow. Georgia. There's a Danvers, or as outsiders call it, Danvers. It's Danvers. Dighton. Thank God for the Dighton people. Fairhaven, Mass. Philadelphia, PA. Tucson, Arizona. Hopkinton. Pittsburgh, PA. Madison, Alabama. Wow. Anyone from Newburyport, Salisbury, Raleigh, Newbury up there? I want to know if there's any folks up on the far North Shore. Melrose, Mass. It's where a lot of my grandparents are from, actually. Melrose. North Shore, yeah. Quincy, Ipswich. Ipswich is pretty close. I wrestled a lot of kids from Ipswich. Brookline, Mass. Plum Island. Oh, you're really. And I spent a lot of time on Plum Island as a kid. As a teenager. Kittery. I love Kittery. Kittery, Maine. Wow. Kittery, Maine's in the house. Middleton. I know Middleton. That's right next to Danvers. Ipswich is Cranes Beach. Yeah. I love Cranes Beach. Spent a lot of time there as a kid, too. My mother used to bring me there. Oklahoma. Okies. Wow. Someone keeps sending me a message about Justin Root. I don't know enough about the case. It seems like it's pretty messed up. Definitely look into it more after this is over. Everything right now is about Karen Reed. I know a lot of people hit me up about other cases and other injustices, but I just don't have time for it right now. But when Karen Reed is over, hit me up. That's when everyone should hit me up about all the other things you want me to cover, because I'll be down. I'll be looking for stuff to cover. New Zealand in the house. Wow. Thank you so much. Someone asked, can the FBI test the blood on John O'Keefe's clothes? It's possible, but is it likely? And will they actually get anything? Apparently, they tried to do some testing and there wasn't enough DNA or something. I don't know. Definitely possible. But will it happen? I don't know. Mark seems pessimistic. We've had that question asked before. Didn't seem too hopeful on that one. All right, I want to thank everyone. Hopefully no more super chats. I want to get out of here. Thank you so much. 218. You guys are amazing. I'll see everyone, hopefully, sometime tomorrow. I might even go live if we get a verdict. We'll see. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep your head up. Keep your spirits up. Don't get anxious. Don't trust me. I learned this year. Don't worry about what you can't control, what you don't even know if it's a problem. One thing I've learned about the state police and the DA, they count on that. They count on that you'll worry, that you'll have anxiety about what. That's what they did to me this year. And I recently got some documentation that shows that they were really playing up that. They wanted me to be afraid. They wanted me to be afraid of them. Best thing I did was take action. I got that criminal defense attorney, and then they left me the F alone. And they know I didn't do anything. That's the greatest part of it. So don't worry about it. We're going to get through this. Keep your head up. Keep the spirits up. Keep your good thoughts. Keep your prayers up. Prayers up for Karen. That's what we need right now. Don't shoot the message up at PSA for those on the free Karen Reed train. We could thank the Biden administration for smacking the hammer down. Yay, feds. Now you're poking. I mean, I want to agree with you, Karen, actually, but you're kind of poking them. You're kind of poking those Trumpers. And I am not a Trumper. And I don't want to bring politics into this. Really, I don't. But I appreciate the $72 donation. That's very generous of you, Karen. And I think you're kind of factual on that. But I don't want to poke. I don't want to bring politics into this. Because you could turn around and say, hey, you can also thank Turtle Boy, who's definitely right wing. Right? I prefer to look at it that there's nothing more American than people on both sides working together for a common cause, left and right. That's what I love about this. That's what I loved about the cannabis cause. It was like it didn't matter about party. It's like, well, you may be a conservative and I may be a liberal. We're going to work together because we agree on this issue. And we might become friends. And maybe we'll work on some other things that we agree on together. I love that. That's what we're about here. It's what I'm about. I'll see everyone tomorrow. Have a great night. Thank you so much. It's amazing. Like I'm blown away. Seriously. Just this whole week too, the amount of love that I got for doing this show. I just and Attorney Bederow, people love him. They love Mazza. I want to congratulate Mazza too. Mazza is doing phenomenal. He couldn't be here tonight at karate. He's my boy. He's my partner. It was great to be out there yesterday with him and to see all the love that he's getting and how he was thankful. I could tell that he was very thankful that we hooked up and that we've had this run together. And I think it's inspired him too to really pursue his show. He had a great show today, solo. He kicking ass. He had over 1,000. I think he had a couple thousand people watching him. I mean, I would like now, tonight we had 11,000. It's amazing. But way back in the day, I would have just dreamed about getting 2,000. Like it was never even like I never thought that could even happen. Now I see Mazza getting 2,000. It's amazing to see, and I'm glad for him. And I think he's going to be huge. I think he's going to be even bigger than 2,000. But just to see him get 2,000 today was pretty wild, pretty awesome to see, and well deserved. He's put in a lot of work on this. He's really good at it. He's got a great voice. He's got a lot of passion. He's a great speaker, and I'm proud of Mazza. So I'll see everyone. Thank you so much. And I'm also thankful for Mazza too for his friendship. So it's been a great run. I'm looking forward to more. We'll see everyone tomorrow. Have a great night.